You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello there, and welcome back.
What is this place?
Disconnected.
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 I'm starting to feel disconnected.
You have reached a number that has been disconnected.
Hey all, welcome to another live Thursday night. I'm just stoked to be back home with decent internet so that these are not awful for you. And I'm also stoked for another first-time guest. Been doing a lot of those lately. Mr. Scott Saslow, welcome, sir.
Hi, great to finally be here.
You are getting to be quite prolific in the physical media scene. Yeah, you can be less modest. Come on. First off, you are a graphic designer. Can you name 10 or 87 of the titles that you've worked on recently?
Recently, and again, mostly it's packaging layout, booklet design.
Yep.
Actually, why don't we just pull up just wrapped Mortal Kombat, Bullet in the Head, Blue Thunder, the Dollars Trilogy, Inner Space, which we'll talk about later, The Killer, Hard Boiled, Spaceballs, Excalibur, Westworld, that's just for Arrow, for Fun City, Fabulous Stains. They just announced it the other day. I designed the box art for The Hills Have Eyes for Carlotta Films.
That's right.
I don't do artwork that often. My first Arrow job was the film noir set that they did, Saul Bass style. They wanted... That's what they wanted, and they let me do, volumes 2 and 3 5 years later. But it's fun. I enjoy doing it. That's for sure. And I'm working on some cool stuff as we speak.
You are to put it modestly in my words for you, you are a quite incredible graphic designer. The best thing that I appreciate out of your camp is layout design. And that is something that a lot of people don't even think about the differences of. They mostly just think of the front cover art. How'd you get into layout design? Because that's such a very different sort of skill.
I didn't get into it specifically. So I have a film degree, actually, from years ago. I went to a school in Orlando called Full Sail. Wanted to direct like everyone else, and kind of realized didn't have the temperament for it. That ship sailed. Spent most of my 20s just doing odd jobs and temp work. I ended up going back to school at 30. Thank you very much. Went back to school at 30 for graphic design. And in my last semester, that's when it kind of hit me, obvious in retrospect, like I could combine both interests, the movies and the graphic design. And in my last semester, I actually did a couple of my own Blu-rays. I came up with my own boutique label. I called it Heliotrope Films. And I did Cronenberg's Crash and the Parallax View. This was obviously after the Criterion Laserdisc of Crash, but before the Criterion Blu-ray of Parallax. But I came up with my own extras, did booklets, disc art, company logo, everything. And, moved back to LA, entered at one of the big not temp agencies, one of the big ad agencies doing movie posters. That ended January 2017, and I've been freelancing ever since. One of my emails got into Arrow, and they liked what I had done with this daily poster project, where I was doing one poster a day for a year. And I mean, my style such as it is. Pretty minimalist. When you study graphic design or really anything, you kind of, you see the designers. It's like, okay, I can't do what Drew Struzan does or Peak or any of those guys, but I could kind of do what these folks do. And you start learning about, minimalism and the Swiss style. And, you find designers like Brandon Schaefer and Sam Smith, who now I've actually can call collaborators, and they're super talented. And so it's like, okay, maybe I can't sit at this table, but there's room for me at this table. And, I did a handful of things for Arrow. This is when they still had the Academy line where my sort of minimalist style kind of worked for that. Yep. But it was ironically around the start of COVID, early 2020, Arrow brought me in to do the 200-page book for the game. And after that, it was, it's been nonstop ever since. I've done a few art things, for Carlotta Films. I do some slipcovers for Fun City. Haven't done any art for Arrow lately, but when it comes to the booklets and text and, getting creative with that and trying to work within the limitations and, I enjoy it. Every project is different. I'm always looking to see in the artwork, what can I use elsewhere so everything is of a piece and looks good. You don't want one component, looking different from the rest or something that doesn't fit. I know this is a long answer, but
no, this is exactly what people want to hear.
But, so as far as that aspect of graphic design, kind of fell into it. If I wasn't doing that, I could just as easily be doing something else. But no, it's I enjoy it, and I'm sure we'll talk about more releases, as we go.
Yeah, we will. But one thing I did want to add, this obviously is not in the works for right now or anything like that, and I'm not naming titles, but I really would only trust maybe 2 people with layout design right now in the way that I've got it. And so Scott, I can absolutely confirm, will be hired for antenna stuff in the near future. Funny story that I can't say much about, but Scott had been kind of hired for one project for antenna, and that didn't work out, not because of Scott, but because the movie fell through. I was so excited for that because you have such a unique attention to bringing in the pop culture aspects of an era or an industry or something like that. Where does the passion for that come through? Because for those that have not seen it, like all of the stuff that you have done for Fun City is kind of the best example of that. You really grab a hold of a style or a time period and make everything exactly in line with what you're envisioning.
I've always had this attention to detail. Yes, I know things can slip through sometimes. I still have nightmares about typos on Mallrats. But with Fun City, that all comes from my producer, Jonathan Hertzberg. It's almost like no 2 releases are the same. There's some that are similar, but I remember working on Paradise, and he wanted the booklet to look like the old TV guide, but specifically like the old cable channel guides in the early 80s. Right. Anyone who grew up in LA, Z Channel. So he wanted it to look like that, and he sent me a bunch of reference material, and it's kind of a sadistic, I accept the challenge, kind of thing, but also matching things, textures and fonts, and we're only 9 minutes in, we're talking about fonts already. But actually, the one thing with Paradise, I fooled him. On the back of the Paradise booklet is an advertisement for the soundtrack, or the Phoebe Cates single, I guess. And I sent that to him, and he wrote back, "Oh my God, where'd you get that?" It's like, I made it. That's why you paid me for it. But he wanted that booklet to look like an old, channel guide. Yeah. And so in the booklet, those are real listings from whatever issue I had to work with, but he wanted Fun City titles mixed in. So then it was a matter of trying to match the existing font, painting out, movies, making sure everything fit, degrading the text so it looked like scanned text from a 40-year-old paper, aging certain things. And that one, Paradise, what was the other one? We were doing one, usually with Fun City. I'm working on a couple at the same time, Paradise and Heavenly Bodies, which I actually got to see on the big screen in Toronto with Tom Ralston,
nice.
the talented artist. And yeah, just embracing that retro 80s style. And I'm very big on authenticity. One of my pet peeves is when, this is a first world problem, believe me, when older films are repackaged, but given sort of a modern flair, whether it's a font or color or whatever, the anachronistic, part of that I don't like. Some trying to, what fonts were used in the 80s, what technology was used in the 80s to make this stuff. Again, just so everything is of a piece and you could sort of, if you lay everything out, everything fits.
Yeah.
So.
We got a question from Paul. Paul wants to know what softwares do you use primarily?
Photoshop and InDesign, Illustrator when I need it. But yeah, so much of the work is on InDesign. And when I was a student, again, I went back to school at 30. It's like half the class were self-taught in Photoshop and were intimidated by Illustrator. Half the class were self-taught in Illustrator and intimidated by Photoshop.
Yeah.
Photoshop and InDesign mainly, and I do pay for the Creative Cloud subscription. We won't get into any of that with Adobe or whatever, but it's a nice write-off this time of year, that's for sure.
Ain't that the truth? Tonight, after announcements, we are going to be talking about 5 of our favorite audio commentaries. So if you want to stay around for that after the announcements, please do. We would love to hear some thoughts on that as we go in. We're going to talk about travel in just a few minutes, but let's go into some of our normal segments. I think you've got some Criterions to show us. It was just the Criterion sale. Let's go into pickups. What have you got recently, Scott?
I have. Let's see. I literally just happen to have them right here, a few of them anyway. Birth, which I have not seen in a long time, so this one's going to be an interesting one to revisit. Thank you very much. This one's going to be an interesting one to revisit. I haven't seen it in years. It is the movie that put the composer Alexander Desplat on the map for me, because the music in this movie is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fun one to, to the extent that this movie is fun, which it's not.
I was about to say.
Be, an interesting experience. And it was shot by the late DP Harris Savitis, who also shot The Game for Fincher. And when we were, real quick, when we were doing the book for The Game, there's a section with sort of camera plot, drawings of his. And it was at the start of COVID, the BFI library was closed, the Academy library was closed, and it's like, what are we going to do? But some random Twitter account had just posted them. It's like, found them. Next Criterion pickup in my top 10.
Nice.
I literally actually just finished watching it before this. Great movie. I'm certainly not the first to point out, like, this, it could have been made today. I'm a big fan of the Andromeda Strain too. But big network fan, and as great as the big I'm mad as hell scene is, the corporate cosmology speech with Ned Beatty is, again, it all works today, but just the way it's filmed and staged, just with the light shining on him, love it. And I had 5 pickups, but we'll just do one more. During COVID, lockdown, I watched as much Powell and Pressburger as I could, and enjoyed all of them. My favorites were actually, at the time, my favorite was A Matter of Life and Death. I think my favorite overall is Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. But I'm slowly, and I own those. I don't own, thank you. Have not owned this. This was sort of a straight from DVD to 4K upgrade.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful, magical movie, and I wish more Americans knew who Roger Livesey was. He wasn't in a ton of movies, and I know he's Tilda Swinton's favorite actor. I think this is her favorite movie, actually. But just great actor, great voice. He was in 3 Powell and Pressburgers, I think. He was Colonel Candy and Colonel Blimp, and just great. And I could do a few more if you want, unless you want to move on to yours.
Please, I've got 5. You can match all 5 of mine.
Okay, then I mean, I have to.
In fact, I think mine is within arm's reach because I just recorded about that one. Great
cool.
movie.
Actually, this arrived before. This wasn't part of the recent 5 pickup, but it was in my hand when I pulled it out of the closet. I mean, what more is there to say? And I guess I'm what they call an elder millennial, but I do enjoy the videos on YouTube of Gen Z kids watching movies for the first time, and this one always makes them laugh, even after 40 years. And rest in peace, Rob Reiner, of course, too. And then finally, classic in our family, Pee-wee. And sadly, he when he passed away, a friend and I, we had just watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It played at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in LA.
Nice.
So got to see it with an audience. People were dressed up. I think they had the bike on display, or a bike.
Yeah.
Classic. I haven't watched the new Tim Burton. I haven't watched any of the new extras yet, but looking forward to it. And it's just great to see this in the collection of all things.
I am dying to see that one again. I was shocked when they announced it, but yeah, glad to have it. So I've got 5 here. One is a piece from Deaf Crocodile, and I feel bad because I don't think anybody else has this yet. This is the brand new Diva Fairy Tale set that is coming out right now. I'm going to take off this J card because the whole art needs to be seen to appreciate the incredible set they've got here. I've not seen any of these in full yet. I edited a couple things on these, but yeah, eager to see all of these because they are weird and wild and classic in a way that is just unique. I am stoked to be able to see the rest of those. Imprint, while I was in Australia, were sending me this, came home to find City on Fire on 4K. This is one of their hard box releases of the Golden Princess titles. For those that have not seen these yet, on the inside, it is a steelbook release and a hardback book. And so the art that they are doing on these are very much the original poster art on the steelbook, which really cool that they're doing that on the steel. Normally, these companies would not do that on the steel like that. 2 discs on the inside, really nice set, and again, pretty nice boxy type book here. Hardback on both sides. It's probably 40-ish pages just by judging it. Lots of art on the inside, not a lot of written essays, but I like that they're doing it like this. It's a great looking set. Pretty identical to the Arrow releases to my eye. It looks like all of the extras are about the same. I know that there's been some question on the differences after Shoutworks on them. It looks like Arrow and Imprint are getting about the same sort of, I don't want to call it like restoration work, but it's like touch up after Shout fixes theirs and goes, well, we might have missed a couple things and we were quick to put ours out, so Arrow can fix it, and here we are. I got 2 in from Mubi from last year, and I got to see both of these in the theater. Liked these quite a bit. Got to check out Die My Love and Lurker. Lurker is probably the one that I would recommend to most people. It is very much in the modern, not comedy, but like cringe situation, kind of situational awareness thriller in a way. It's not like anything that's going to be scary or anything, but it's a situation where the whole time you're like, oh, what are these people doing? Like, I could see this person immediately turning into somebody that's going to go off on the deep end and like bring a gun to a music studio or something like that. The movie's great. Check it out. It is fantastic. And then the last one I'm going to show, my wife didn't get to go see this with me in the theater, but I loved Primate. Everybody needs to go see this if you've not seen it yet. It is pretty wild. There's a couple deaths in that movie that I'm really glad that they showed everything that they showed, because they don't hold back. They showed a guy falling off a cliff and hitting the bottom, and that was pretty explicit. Yeah, that's my 5.
Have you? How was Die My Love?
Die My Love is really well acted. It's Lynn Ramsey, so if you're a Lynn Ramsey fan, you'll probably love it a lot. It is very Lynn Ramsey. Jennifer in that is great. She is just an incredible actress. Robert Pattinson, fantastic. He's in it a lot less than she is, but I could see a lot of people being frustrated. It's not super linear, normal narrative type of story, but if you are a parent, if you're a new mother, if you're somebody that's struggled with like a very young marriage, it's probably going to hit very home with you as a viewer. Highly recommend checking it out at least once if that's your type of film. Otherwise, I could see you walk away going like, "Oh, that was not even fun to watch."
Yeah, that one's on the list. I have such a huge backlog of movies
Same.
to watch.
Well, speaking of that, what have you been checking out?
Lately, God, what have I been checking out? Actually, even though as far as older stuff, even though I've watched them a million times, and most of my stuff's in storage at the moment, all the Alien movies are back on HBO Max, including the extended cuts.
Yeah,
for at least 3 of them, but the assembly cut for Alien 3 being on HBO, that's actually been getting some traction online, even though it's been streaming before, and the Alien anthology set's been available for, God, a decade now, at least. I'm sure there are people getting turned on to it for the first time, and, great. So I rewatched that and Alien Resurrection, which I used to not really be a fan of, but I've come around to it. It also is one of my favorite lines in the franchise right at the end where, Sigourney Weaver says, "I'm a stranger here myself." I've also been rewatching News Radio, which is on the Roku channel. Again, my DVD set also in storage. But I recently, there's a podcast called Die Hard on a Blank, and where they talk about, they start with Die Hard and they work their way forward, action movies in that mold. So I've been catching up on, and they touch on other films, action films too. So, over the last several months, I've been catching up with a lot of 80s and 90s action films I missed out on the first time. Not all great, but movies like Judgment Night, which they mention, they don't cover it. It's not a Die Hard type of movie, but they mentioned Judgment Night, which I quite enjoyed. Didn't know what to expect. What else did I watch? Southern Comfort for the first time.
Good movie. Which
at the last 15 minutes, I had no clue what to expect or, what would happen. On the other hand, I was probably the only person on the planet watching Free Jack, which, again, they didn't cover on the podcast, but they just mentioned it in the conversation. Or Chill Factor with Cuba Gooding Jr., which I was led to believe was Die Hard on an ice cream truck. They're in a delivery truck with ice cream in it. They're not in an ice cream truck.
Right.
So just to show you what I've been watching lately, and I'm probably the youngest fan of the TV series Get Smart from the 60s, and I might be ruining it by saying it, but someone uploaded the entirety of the show to the Internet Archive. So I've had some of that playing in the background too, and you know what? Still makes me laugh after all this time.
I know I've seen a lot of the show, but it's been so long. It would be like a first time watch if I went back to it. Yeah. My grandparents used to love it. And I mean, I swear certain episodes I could probably quote to this day, but God, it's been decades, easily 25 plus years.
Well, I had to look, I was telling a friend about it, and I had to look it up for the date. And it was a week before my birthday, actually, January 1991. When it first premiered on Nick at Night, they did a marathon called Maximum Smart. It was 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 days. And I was already a fan of Inspector Gadget, voiced by John Adams. So all it took was about 30 seconds. Agreed on the best title sequence. So I was already a fan of Don Adams. And it was one of those shows, same with News Radio later, where within 5 minutes, I'm a fan, ride or die. Dick Gaudier played Jaime the Robot. But again, all this knowledge in my head. But I haven't watched a ton of new stuff lately, unfortunately. Did you One Battle After Another? I did watch,
nice.
Recently. I haven't watched all the Oscar nominees. I enjoyed it. Although I think my favorite PTA films are still Boogie Nights and Magnolia.
That makes sense.
And every time, every so often, if I watch Magnolia at the end, I'm just thinking, God, he wasn't even 30 yet when he made it.
And that wasn't even his first film either.
No,
he did
that's his
multiple
third film.
things before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy timing for him. So I got to see 2 in theaters since our last show, which was last Thursday, while in New Zealand. And one day we went to see They Will Kill You, the new Zazie Beetz film. And Tom Felton is also in that. Patricia Arquette, a couple other names that were pretty good. It is very violent. It is essentially, like, a lot of people are saying it's basically Kill Bill, like in an apartment building. It's so different than that. It is very good. It is acted well. The story, you got to suspend a lot of belief it's an over the top bloody violent film. So you just got to be like, oh yeah, this is the universe that we're making this movie in, which makes sense. On that note, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's great. It's not like peak cinema or anything. The next one, though, pretty close to that. I finally got to see Project Hail Mary. I am quite happy I got to see that on the big screen. It is great. Ryan Gosling is great. Really happy with how they taught a lot of very heady science, without feeling like they were speaking down to the audience. It was very much like step in with us rather than we're going to stand on a stage and speak down to you. I thought it was quite great. I really enjoyed the visuals in it. That's the big thing. Lord and Miller are really great at capturing just like captivating, full-throated beauty, essentially, in very different situations. I thought it was pretty incredible for a blockbuster. I hope more people see it.
Haven't seen it yet. I did read the book just last year, actually.
Nice.
I enjoyed it. Got emotional at the end. But yeah, it's certainly on the list, that's for sure. And props to Greg Fraser, the DP, on that one too.
Excellent. And then the last thing I've talked about on the show probably 800 times. One of my favorite TV shows of all time, maybe my favorite TV show of all time, comes back this week, Taskmaster, over in the UK. And because of that, I showed my wife the show Last One Laughing. If you've never seen it, it is kind of similar to Taskmaster. They get 10 UK comedians together in one room, and the mission is to make everybody else laugh, and you can't laugh. If you laugh twice, you are out of the game. And they go on I think it's a 6-episode season to go from 10 comedians down to 1. It is some of the funniest but quiet humor that you've ever seen because nobody is laughing. It is great. It is witty. It is so hard to even hear everything because there's so many jokes that you're dying laughing. It's great. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. There's 2 seasons currently, both very, very good. But we should talk about travel. I'm going to highlight some of the things that I did while on my trip, but I wanted to ask you, over the last handful of years, you've been a bit of a digital nomad. How did that life come about for you? So,
I suppose deep down, it was always something I was thinking about. So in, God, what are we in 2026, 2023, I decided, you know what? Got to do this. I went to Dublin for the graphic designer Annie Atkins' workshop. Annie Atkins is the graphic designer on a lot of Wes Anderson's films. She's worked on some Spielberg titles. If you don't know who Annie Atkins is, Google her. You'll know her work. But she has a 2-day workshop in Dublin, each day, 5 hours. And it's like, you know what? I'm doing this. I got a passport actually right before COVID lockdown, before the world shut down. And I'd never been outside the United States. So I did a week in Dublin, 2 in London, and then 1 in Edinburgh. And it was during the Fringe Festival. So it was insane. I even ran into one of my old improv classmates who I hadn't seen in years. And after that, once I was on my connection back to LA. So I'm in Calgary talking to my parents, and they say, "Oh, you're probably disappointed you're going back." And I told them without any hint of irony, I got to keep this up. I don't want to go back. I want to keep going.
Yeah.
And I realize I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can do this. So I slowly, put my stuff in storage, found someone to cover my, I found someone to take over my apartment, much to the annoyance of my roommate, but everything's okay. I was in a car accident, so that took care of that. Not my fault. It was a DUI and hit and run, of all things. but I got a couple of bucks out of that. And so 2024, I did 6 months just crisscrossing the UK. I've seen more of that country than some of the people there. I got to meet up with the folks from Arrow at the pub, got to meet with some fellow designers, got to go to the Vice Press open house.
Nice.
And someone, I'm at the Vice Press open house. I'm waiting for I think it was a Japanese variant Star Trek II poster that Matt had done, because once they announced that deal with Paramount, it's like, oh God, and now I have to buy them all. Yeah. And someone runs up to me while I'm waiting on the line, Scott, it's you. It's like, who are you? But it was Laurie Greasley, talented illustrator, and we'd never met. And when you're online, no one knows what anyone looks like.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. And so that was 6 months there, and then I did 5 months Australia, New Zealand. I just got back from 8 months. I did 3 in Europe, and then another 5 in London. This time, just London. And I tell people I haven't missed one day of work. Got to meet up with the Arrow folks again. And although I don't know if I'll be out of the country as long as 8 months. Probably just between 3 and 6 at this point. Not sure where I'm going next. Have to take care of some stuff here at home. I crash with family, when I'm back in the States. And yeah, it's an interesting way to live. All my stuff's in storage, and it'll be there, when I tell people I want to keep doing this until I either run out of money, which hopefully does not happen, get bored, which I don't think will happen, or meet someone, fall in love, and stay, which if I don't sabotage things, maybe that will happen one day, but we won't get into that. But no, it's fun. And, I tell my friends, I'm still always there if, you need me, since, I can do this, but I'm always still trying to, pay it forward and, be there for people.
And can attest, you were pretty much always very quick to respond. You were always on it. Obvious question, but where are you hoping to go? Anywhere that's on the list?
Certainly more in Europe, because I think most Americans, if you're just on a regular visa, you could only do 3 out of every 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking something like Austria. Well, I actually have some ancestry. Austria, Switzerland, Czech Republic. I really want to do Iceland. I'd like to make it to Japan at some point, but I can't sleep on planes. That's a long flight. Flying from Auckland to LA, couldn't sleep a wink. And with you would have just experienced with the international dateline, you actually arrive before you leave, which is a trip. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that in just a minute. It was a very weird experience flying across the international dateline. I wasn't going to do this, but a lot of people asked me to share some things, so I put together some of the photos from everything just to be able to talk about what happened. Wanted to shout out Tony and Natalie, who Tony let us stay with him. Tony Meachus, who's in the chat. Thank you, Tony, from the Imprint Cast. This is their little welcome to Australia gift basket that they gave my wife and I. There's our first immediate lunch with Tony and my wife talking with Tony. And then we went down to see the beach. This was literally 3.5 hours after we got to Australia. After I think that first flight was, 16.5 hours. We flew from Dallas to Sydney this time, which that is a long flight. And the whole thing was in the night. So it was exhausting. I only slept about 3 hours that time. Here we are on the beach, just my wife and I. And then we started going around town. Tony took us to the Ritz Theater. This place was great. Here's one of the old classic cameras they had for display there. He, of course, had to take us to some physical media shops. Here's one of his favorites, Top 10. This is in downtown Sydney, and it was glorious. They had way more imports than I expected them to have. Some of them a little overpriced, but if you're there, check it out. This place, kind of hard to find. It's like recessed off of the road, so it's very easy to walk by and not see this. This is standing right in front of it, but you had to walk down, I don't know, probably 120 feet of an alley before you get here. So it's a little bit hidden, but you're in Australia. had to go to JB Hi-Fi. Got a couple titles here. Show those on the show last week. Here's John Matthews from New Wave Video with the very funny expression, standing in front of Radio Free Alice. By the way, Radio Free Alice in Sydney, you can now pick up the Physical Media Advocate there. We're going to be talking about that more eventually. Next up, great food. Lots of Asian-inspired dishes that we had. Loved it there. Where's been the best country for food for you so far, Scott?
Oh God, I'm so not a foodie, to be honest. And usually, and I'm such an American. Not that I go to the American chains, but I will try to find their version of it. Like, what's the best pizza in Sydney? What's the cool burger joint in London? Or things like that. But I'm so not adventurous with any of that. Plus, too much junk food is always an issue with me too. In London, they have these big candy stores, but it'll literally say American Candy Store, and it has everything Reese, because Reese's and Hershey stuff is not as common there. Although then I read an article that said like all the people who run those stores know each other, and the article speculated it's like one big money laundering scheme or something. It's like, don't say that if you don't have proof. I spent money in these places. But I do well. My Sydney trip, I was visiting a friend in Atlanta, so it was going to be Atlanta to LA to Sydney.
Oh, geez.
So the Atlanta trip, that flight was canceled. They'd already started boarding, and then it was just canceled. Oh, and man. The airlines at this point, they just rebook you automatically. So you never really know until you check. So my flight became Atlanta to Miami, which is nothing. Miami to Santiago, Chile, Santiago to Sydney.
Whew.
And when I got to my Airbnb, I had to download a single 5 megabyte JPEG. It was after 10 minutes, it was like, this is going to be a problem. So I ended up working with in the reading room at the Central Library. So most of Dark City was done there. Ironically,
nice.
Since it was filmed in Australia. I'm trying to think. Yeah, a few other. It's like now when I look at the titles I've worked on, it's like, oh, that country and Fabulous Stains was worked on 3 different continents at this point.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, so that's one of the photos of the food. Here is the Sydney Naval Harbor. Took a fun picture of that at night. And then Tony and everybody else threw a physical media get-together barbecue. This was at Tony's house. Here is everybody that was there. Lots of names you'll recognize. We got Paul, who's in the chat right now, Key-Ray, who's in the chat, Tony, who's in the chat. We got Brett. We've got a handful of others that you'll hear about at some point, I'm sure. But we also got visited by a huntsman spider. I was told this was very rare, and I said, "Will I see one while I'm here?" They said, "Probably not." And then he showed up, so that was funny.
I did not get any of that, thankfully.
I was about to say, you don't look like you enjoy spiders. This is a very fun store owned by a friend of Tony's named Andrew. This store just opened literally about a month before we got there. Funny enough, you can now pick up the Physical Media Advocate in this store as well. We're going to be talking about that soon. This is a great little store. If you're there, go check it out. We'll give you more details on that. But then my favorite part of the trip, maybe, that I can talk about. We went to the Meg, which is the home of Nick Nicolau's makeup effects group. He worked on tons of movies that you've heard of, lots of Aussie classics like Cut, which I love. They worked on The Matrix. We got to see the baby from The Matrix, and we got to see so many things that they've done in the past. This is one of the burned up nuclear victims, we'll say. Just some incredible pieces in this essentially like a little museum that they had. Then in the back room, he just has suddenly the biggest Star Wars collection I've ever seen. This was insane what he's got. So much of it is like brand new in box still. But I know we got a lot of Star Wars fans here, so wanted to share some of those. But then showed even more of his art and pieces that they've worked on, stuff that has been from way back when. This is an original piece from Mary Poppins that was like a test piece of the clothing, I believe, of what they were going to do. This was incredible. This is an original cell from The Secret of Nim, and Don Bluth is like one of my heroes of all time, so I had to snap a photo of that. Some incredible original pieces of art in this entire thing. This was the one right before the finalized painting of Visitor Q for Larry Cohen. So this is not the painting, but one of the ones that were almost there. Same with this. I don't believe this is the final one. He did have quite a few final ones. I don't know if I included. Okay, this is one. This is one that was final. And then he also had, I didn't include it, maybe. He's got Legend. He's got the final painting that is the actual painting for the poster of Legend. This is stuff that was used on Fury Road and a couple other things. Original storyboards here from The Thing, which is wild to see. Here is an original Alex Ross, which was mind-blowing to see in person. Just some modern art going around Sydney. Classic. And then just some of the views. We went to Crawford, one of the biggest stations in all of Australia, and Danny, who might be in the chat or will be eventually probably, took us around this way. We got to see quite a bit of this. Here's us just overlooking the ocean. And then we finally got to where he gave us a tour of his entire studio, looked at where they broadcast the news from. They do radio recordings. There's Danny in the picture at the bottom. Danny was giving us the whole last 60 years history of broadcasting in Australia, which was just amazing to see. Here's the front of the studio, the Wind Network. And then the next day, we went to the National Film and Sound Archive in Australia. This is in Canberra. And as much as I wanted to love this, we drove 3 hours to Canberra out of Sydney. And we saw everything we needed to see in about less than 25 minutes. Not very much there.
When I was in Sydney working on Dark City, Arrow wanted to include a reproduction of the postcard, and I did a little homework, and I swear the original prop postcard is in that building. And I mentioned it, I'm in Sydney, I'll take the train, I'll pay for it, but it would have required too much paperwork. I couldn't just walk in and get a scan of it. I even spoke to someone from there. We emailed back and forth, nice guy, but we would have needed written permission from Warner Brothers, and it would have become a whole thing. So that's why I had to recreate it from scratch. It's like the real one's just over there, but well.
I tried to go there for some stuff for Antenna, and the timing just didn't work out right. Going to be working on some stuff with them soon. But they did get to show us the actual knife from Crocodile Dundee. And yes, that is a knife. We had to go to some more physical media stores. This is one that, again, downtown Sydney, really nice place. This is called Hum. It was pretty nice. A little overpriced, but not too terrible. While we were walking to Hum, just a random funny story because I'm a frickin' giant. If you didn't notice from the picture so far, Tony was walking us into a used bookstore, and I was wearing my sunglasses because it was so bright outside. Walk in, and I immediately go to take off my sunglasses because I was blinded. And as soon as I take them off, I'm one step in the building. They had an exit sign, and I was so tall, I bashed my head on the exit sign, and so hard that the exit sign fell off of the roof or ceiling. Hilarious. Absolutely terrible. My head started bleeding. That was fun. This is where we visited Bondi Beach. And if you pay attention to world events, this was the site of a tragedy just a few months ago. And to be this close to it and see everything that happened was just absolutely wild. It's humbling in a way that is sad, especially coming from America, where it's such a common thing. Could say a lot about how safe we felt in Australia, but I'll let it go. Some of our big views of Australia as we left Bondi. Tony took us to this beautiful little alcove where it's just crazy, the views that people, this is like next to somebody's apartment. They just hang out here. And I was so jealous. You just wake up and look outside, and then I look down and there's stairs carved into this cliff. It's just crazy. I love this life. Going on to some other stuff, had to get the classic Opera House shot. This is, of course, Luna Park. You've probably seen photos of this quite a few times online. Under the Harbor Bridge, looking at that. We got some wonderful gelato. This was incredible. I didn't realize they put cherries in the bottom of this cone, and I went to take a bite, and the whole bottom part kind of exploded all over my pants and shirt. Thanks, Sydney. That was wonderful. This is the Tyra Banks brand new ice cream shop she just opened called Smize and Dream. Don't know why that's her new dream, but it is. There's us in front of the Opera House. And then Tony took us to one last theater, called the Hayden Orpheum. Looks really nice inside. And then we went to the beach one last time. But finally, this was some of my favorite photos. We got really nice late night view of the harbor and the Opera House. Then we flew to New Zealand. Yes, we're only like 3/4 of the way done with this trip. Flying into New Zealand was gorgeous. Never seen nature like this. Auckland, I mean, you've been there. It's just stupendous to fly into there, right?
Well, I flew from Melbourne to Wellington, and that's
even better
landing. I think crosswinds in the mountains. I was just gripping my seat, but I did do the Weta workshop.
Nice.
Tour. That's actually where this shirt comes from.
Very nice.
And then from Wellington to Auckland, which was lovely. Did you make it to? There's a New York style pizza chain there called Sal's. You didn't make it there at all, did you?
We did.
But when I saw that, I made like a beeline for it, and it's like they got it right. Not everyone does.
Well, if they got it right, I will say I've never been to New York, even though I've now been to Auckland. If they got it right, man, I'm not going to like New York pizza because I did not like Sal's.
Well, when I was in London, there's a and no offense to it because it was a cool place. There's a Quentin Tarantino themed pizza restaurant in London called True Romance, which they have a lot of cool stuff from his movies there. But it's like Tarantino, A, he's not from New York, and B, he's not really associated with pizza. And it billed itself as New York style pizza. And I went there, tried it, and not even close. Sorry. But when I saw this place in Australia, New Zealand, I had to try it. And then I went to a New York style, I went to a deli and had a pastrami sandwich because I'm always on the hunt for a good one of those. And it was good, but so salty. I couldn't finish it. Too salty.
Understandable. So yeah, that's flying into Auckland. This is right before we landed. This is how they welcome you in at the Auckland airport. And then the day after this, I spent on a film set. Signed an NDA, so I can't say much about it. But if you know much about what I'm doing with my company and who else owns it, you should be able to guess what film set I was on. That's as much as I can say. More stories about that when I can next summer, I believe. But this is right before we went in to Hobbiton. If you're in New Zealand, you pretty much have to do it. So the wife and I went to the Shire, and I did not want to show all of the photos because there's so many that look very similar, but this place was magical. After spending the last 5 or 6 weeks showing both of our kids all 3 of the Lord of the Rings films, this was wild to see in person. Completely loved all of the attention to detail. It is kind of crazy how much they paid attention to everything, the sheer size of everything. This was a very fun photo. My wife making fun of me because I'm a giant. It was not that small. You should be able to be seen if you're normal size, but I am not. Just gorgeous landscape. It is so crazy how green and lush everything is. Absolutely loved it. We got to go into one of the Hobbit houses. Just a great time. Loved it there. And then afterwards, we had a tour through the Waitomo glowworm caves. For those that have not heard of it, these are dark, deep caves in the side of a mountain, basically, that glowworms, they hang down these little tails to attract insects, kind of like spider webs, and they glow to attract them. And you go in, and all the lights are off, and you can see what looks like little fiber optic lights, and they're just worms. Couldn't take any photos of that inside, but you come out on a little boat ride at the end of it. It is a really fun time, just beautiful to see. Had a great time. That's pretty much everything that made sense to show pictures of. Loved it, though. That was my first time ever out of the country. I cannot wait to do something like that again. I am very poor, so it will not be able to happen probably for a long time. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you make it to London at some point. There's certainly enough there to keep you busy. And every time with me in the UK, I've either just missed something or I leave and I'm about to miss something. The week before, literally the week before I left London this last time, the Science Museum's doing a Star Trek exhibit for the anniversary, and they're showing the 10 films. It's like,
yeah,
literally starting the 2 days after I left.
Oh,
And the first time I was there, I left, and then they were doing the Powell and Pressburger big retrospective there, so I just missed that too. So I got to time this better.
I think it's the BFI. They're about to do a big Guillermo del Toro retrospective showing,
Cool.
I think, everything he's done, and that would be a blast to see. I don't think I've only seen maybe one or two on the big screen ever, so to see all of them would be crazy. I would love that. All right, so tonight after announcements, we were talking about audio commentaries. Last thing I wanted to bring up before we go into the announcements: writing. You have your first bit of writing about to come out in one of these releases. Tell us about it.
I mean, I don't consider myself a writer, but I was working. So I found out Arrow got Interspace, and I told them I want to do that one, and one other title they have that I requested to work on, which hopefully I do. I said it's my favorite Joe Dante film. It's one of my favorite Amblin films, and I believe Doug John Miller did the new artwork. Doug John Miller did the new art, which is on the wrap and the booklet cover and the disc. I took care of the rest, and I'm doing the booklet. I have 3 pages left over, and it's like, I'm a fan. I know this movie top to bottom. I've seen all of Dante's stuff, so I just speculatively over a weekend wrote, did a little write-up on his stock company. So it's no deep insight. It's just a series of nerdy lists, but I could have done 3 pages just on Dick Miller, but I literally only had 3 pages. So Dick Miller, Robert Picardo, Kevin McCarthy, William Shallert, etc. I found some cool quotes on the Internet Archive. There's a book on the making of Invasion of the Body Snatchers that I think Kevin McCarthy even co-wrote. It's mainly the original, but touches on the Philip Kaufman version too. Found some tweets from old archive tweets from Joe Dante, when some of these actors have passed away and he'd pay tribute. Picardo did an interview with the AV Club, so I found a couple quotes from there. Not as much on some of the others like Wendy Shaw or Archie Hahn, although I did mention I had mentioned his role in Meatballs 2, just because. But no, I had fun with it. I took the screenshots, and when I emailed them a pass of the booklet, I said, "Oh, by the way, check this out. If you like it, great. If not, no big deal." And they came back, sure, yeah, we'll use it. So then I had to change the blurb on the back so my name would be in it. And but I even got the Joe Dante's TV stuff, which I hope I got it all right. Like people who were in Erie, Indiana, or the episode Dick Miller was in one of the 2 episodes of Police Squad that Dante directed. He directed 1/3 of that show. And I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I had to get in a Trek reference in there since Wendy Shaw guest starred in a Voyager episode and had scenes with Picardo. So yeah, hopefully I know there's one other movie that I would love to do something like this with. I won't mention it. I don't know if Arrow has it or not, but an 80s action movie with a big cast of, hey, it's that guy names. So I don't know if Arrow has it or not, but if they do, and if I get to work on it, I would love to do something like this again.
Well, I adore Interspace. When we first talked about the announcement here, I gushed on it for a handful of minutes. For those that have never seen it, pitch them the film Interspace. Why should they buy it?
I could pitch it the way Joe Dante describes it, which is it's fantastic. It's fantastic voyage crossed with a Martin and Lewis comedy. But it's a Martin Short, or Dennis Quaid's a test pilot. He gets miniaturized. He's part of this experiment, miniaturization. He gets miniaturized and injected into Martin Short. And they have to, beat the bad guys and, re-enlarge Dennis Quaid before he runs out of air. Meg Ryan's the love interest. You got the usual Joe Dante stock players in it. Oscar-winning visual effects by Industrial Light and Magic.
Gorgeous movie.
A fun score by Jerry Goldsmith. And Robert Picardo at the Orlando MegaCon, he autographed my DVD. Years later at Monster Palooza in Pasadena, he autographed my Blu-ray. So now I got to meet him one more time so he could autograph the 4K. And this time I can actually say I worked on it. But it was just one of those, it was also one of those movies that was always on TV. Yeah. And, it was the last generation to kind of grow up late 80s, early 90s. If a cool movie was on TV, you watched it because it was on and there was nothing else to do. But no, big fan, and I had fun working on it. A couple of cool, there's one poster that I used for the back of the booklet cover that I'd never actually seen before. I think it was for the home video release. Again, and trying to, with fonts and, again, trying to make everything of a piece. And, with the booklet's readability is the most important thing. Plus Arrow has their own sort of house style, but, throwing in some cool tech little patterns and things like that, just to have fun with it and give it some visual interest.
Of course. I'm always happy to see that, especially in your stuff. Yeah, Interspace. Check it out if you've never seen it. It is fantastic. It's one of those that I think it was Adam in the chat said it's kind of like Peter Jackson's Frighteners, in that it's like one of their best but overlooked in a way that shouldn't be in Jackson's oeuvre. That not the film is not like the Frighteners, but in their oeuvre, it is similarly overlooked, which it shouldn't be. Interspace is fantastic, although it's difficult when you're Dante because he's got like oops all bangers in his resume, and when you're comparing to The Burbs and Gremlins and Matinee and everything else, it's very easy to say, oh yeah, we watched all those and this other one that we just forget about that one. But also, Interspace deserves a shot. Also, I think if you ask Dante, he'd say also genre hybrids are hard, sci-fi comedy or sci-fi action comedy even. And it's 2 hours, and I'm sure the studio would have preferred it maybe 15 minutes less to get one more screening in. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything you could cut. No, it's worth the entire watch. It is great, super well done. I understand where Terry's coming from in the chat, talking about Martin Short overacting, but just like Adam said, or just like Spooky said, that is kind of why you watch Martin Short. That's what he always does. So either way,
he hadn't done. I think he had done 3 Amigos, and I don't think he'd really done many movies actually before this either.
Not much. No, that's true. God, yeah, I need to go look at his resume around that time. I'd love to learn more about that. All right, we're ready for announcements. Anything else that you want to hype up before we go into this? Anything other than Interspace coming out the next month or two that's already been announced?
I'm working on a few titles for Arrow right now, and a couple for a few for Fun City in various stages. But yeah, nothing else I can really talk about right now. But there will be more.
There will be more. And speaking of more, let's talk about some animation as it comes through Warner Archive. So these are all a big batch of Warner Archive titles that came out late last week. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you don't need to apologize for this. You were out of the country. I do want to apologize. I was very late on many of these announcements. It was such a weird week. I literally, right before this show, just got caught up with what I had been waiting to be able to post over the last 2 weeks. Every single day has been wild. You were talking about going over the international dateline. I woke up early on Monday morning to fly out of Auckland, left on Monday afternoon out of Auckland, flew 12 hours to LA, and when we landed in LA, it was again Monday morning. And that sort of thing is so jarring in a weird way that you are just not prepared for. When we finally landed in Kansas City, it was technically only an hour on the clock after when we left Auckland, which, holy hell, what a weird life that is in that day. All right, so we got May 19th. We got a Blu-ray coming of Looney Tunes Cartoons. This is the HBO Max series coming to Blu-ray. Now, this one's interesting because it had been discussed on this show last week or the week before as coming on DVD only, and it seems like the outcry of everybody wanting this got them to say, hold up, let's get the archive to put this out on Blu-ray, which is always a win. This is going to be a 6-disc Blu-ray collection. They're going to have the sports shorts with it as well. You can check this out. Total runtime on this, just over 1,000 minutes, which is very worth it to me. I'm a big animation head. Are you into animation, Scott?
I've always been a Looney Tunes fan. I haven't watched this, but I have been buying the collections. And I've kind of lost count between, I have the golden collections from DVD. Then with Blu-ray, they did a few platinum collections, and they've done some DVD compilations over the years. But, some of the cartoons are new and some are old and some have been remastered and some haven't. But, whatever the archive's releasing Looney Tunes wise, I'm more than likely going to pick up.
Same. I will get this, absolutely. Next up is Seven Faces of Dr. Lao from 1964. This is coming on May 26th. This is a Tony Randall film. This will have a vintage featurette on here called King of the Duplicators, and then a Tom and Jerry cartoon, The Cat Above and The Mouse Below, and the original trailer. Are you into the classics like this?
I have not seen this one. I know of. I'm certainly aware, but actually most of the rest of the archive titles I think you're going to announce I have not seen, unfortunately. But I'm always open, so I'll, they'll get on my radar at some point.
We've got a question from Explosive Action. What's going on? Losing track. What's different to this compared to the last couple of Warner Archive Looney Tunes Bugs Bunny? This is entirely different. The one we just talked about, this is the HBO Max series that's very contemporary. It was it was coming out between 2020 to 2024. It is not classic Looney Tunes, but it is done in the classic Looney Tunes style. I've never seen them, but I hear they're actually like shockingly faithful to the original style and the comedy and everything. So I need it for sure. Next up, one that I've heard about for a long time, never got a chance to see. This is Follow Me Quietly from 1949, also coming on May 26th from Warner Archive. This says, this is the film that, above all, increased my knowledge of the trade. I learned how to organize a film. Director Richard Fleischer said about Follow Me Quietly, the filmmaker learned well. His subsequent career included the film noir gem The Narrow Margin, the family favorite 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and the sci-fi milestone Soylent Green. William Lundigan stars as a cop on the trail of an elusive serial killer who strikes when darkness and rain fall. Anthony Mann shares credit for the story, a take similar to his work uncredited on the previous year's He Walked by Night. This will have Crime Does Not Pay shorts on this called Dark Shadows and the last installment, plus the trailer. Feels a little noir-ish. Are you into film noir?
I do, or I am. I don't know why I said I do. I am, but I have that weird problem where, and obviously some are better than others, but, in some of these movies, the plots are so labyrinth, you blink and all of a sudden it's, wait, where are we again? And who's that guy? Right. I love the trappings of it, just the sort of archetype characters and the femme fatale and, the lighting and just that post-war gloom and doom feeling. Yeah. This is definitely something I would watch at some point.
Yeah, this sounds great. I definitely need to see this one. Next up, one that a lot of the people I know and trust on film seem to be very excited, so I am keen for this one. 1969's The Five-Man Army. This says, where the Army leads action fans, especially spaghetti Western fans, will want to follow. This has a brand new 4K scan of the original camera negative. We've got no other extras on this but the cast. The cast on this. Bud Spencer, Peter Graves, James Daly, Tetsuro Tamba, directed by Don Taylor. Are you into spaghetti Westerns at all?
Also a big gap in my hell of a lineup here for me, but no, also more of a gap in my movie going. Yeah. Thank you. Unfortunately. But again, I'm always open. And I think Don Taylor, he did. I think he did the second Omen film. He directed that, and I think he directed one of the Planet of the Apes sequels. I just don't remember which one.
Yeah, that sounds right. Definitely want to check this one out. I have been watching more and more spaghetti Western over the last few years, and sounds really interesting. But
as a graphic designer, I do appreciate their continued commitment to using the original artwork on the packaging.
Same. Even on something like this, which is Monogram Matinee Volume 3, coming out that same day, May 26th. And they've got two films here, both of them with the original posters shuffled onto this cover, which is really nice to keep them. So we've got Under Arizona Skies and Rain's Justice from 1946 and 1949, respectively. These are brand new 4K scans of the best preservation elements on both of these. Both of these are an hour or just under an hour runtime, so that's why they're both on the same disc. No extras on these, but it's a double feature. I'm not much of a Western guy. Is this something that you would be immediate to pick up?
Same, but you know what? I'm glad when anything is released like this, but I'm happy that they're doing these, and that they're clearly committing to, Volume 3. Maybe we'll get Volume, 4, hopefully at some point too.
If this sells more than 14 copies, maybe, yeah. Next up, another big one, May 26th. It's a Wise Child from 1931 with Marion Davies. This one, and Marion delivers one of her finest comedic performances in this smart, early talkie farce that delights in mistaken impressions and social pretenses. When Joyce Stanton becomes the unsuspecting subject of scandal after being wrongfully assumed pregnant, she finds the gossip oddly useful, particularly as it helps her sidestep an unwanted marriage to a wealthy suitor. I absolutely need this one. Pre-code films are always at least interesting and quite often fantastic. This will have classic cartoons on here, Bosco's Fox Hunt and Bosco's Soda Fountain, and then 2 MGM shorts, Crazy House and The Rounder. Any thoughts on pre-code films?
I did watch, I don't have a ton of experience with them, but I'm a big, I like Barbara Stanwyck, and I know she did a bunch of pre-code films, and maybe it was the Criterion Channel, or I don't know where I would have seen them at this point, but I watched a bunch of hers, from then, and on one, certainly tame compared to now, but at the same time, you could kind of see where it might have bothered some people then. There's one where she literally, now I'm totally blanking on the name. One where she gets a job at a company and she literally sleeps her, the whole movie's about her sleeping her way to the top, which you couldn't do a few years later in a movie.
I always love watching pre-code movies and thinking about my grandparents and going, they were scandalized by so much less than are in pre-code films. All right, next up, Joan Crawford in Possessed. No, not that Possessed. This is 1931's Possessed, also coming on May 26th from Warner Archive. This is Joan Crawford and Clark Gable in this one. We get a 4K scan of the original nitrate negative. This will have the MGM Dogville comedy short Love Tales of Morocco and a classic cartoon Bosco the Doughboy, which I'm just glad that they're putting shorts on these. I'm glad that we're getting all of this archived. It's Clark Gable and Joan Crawford. I got to watch this at some point. This sounds fantastic.
And one of my old roommates in LA, Nora, who writes about classic film, she actually writes one of the essays in Arrow's, I think in volume 3 in the Film Noir set. Huge fan of Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. This is a woman in her 20s. She has tattoos of them, magnets on the fridge. I think she said her favorite movie was Humoresque. So when Warner Archive released that, I had to tag her in the announcement, you might want to buy this. So as long as, again, there's always a new audience for movies like this.
I agree. Yeah. And then maybe the biggest one of the month for a lot of people is we get The Late Show from 1977 with Art Carney and Lily Tomlin. This is, of course, a big one because it is one that people have wanted on HD for quite some time. You've got Robert Benton also in this one. This is, let's see, there was one more thing that I wanted to shout out. 4K scanning of the original camera negative. Excerpt from Dinah from 1977 talk show with Lily Tomlin and Dinah Shore. Just absolutely great that this is coming out on HD finally. Any Art Carney or Lily Tomlin thoughts?
Not really, except I think I looked it up once, and I'm pretty sure I think Lily Tomlin was the host of SNL the weekend I was born. I was born on a Sunday morning, and I think she was hosting SNL the night before.
Nice.
But this reminds, though, I think in the last month's announcement, one was Private Benjamin. Mm-hmm. And some of these titles, I'm shocked. Like they haven't either. They got old archive releases on DVD, or something like Private Benjamin probably got a DVD release in a snapper case 25 years ago, and that's never got any extra better treatment until now. So. But again, I'm glad to see something like this out and available, and with the original art and everything.
Yeah, big deal. Definitely wanting this one. This looks fantastic. And then we got a big boy. We had heard that this was coming. Severin announced some titles. We've got a 4K Blu-ray box set coming of Sangster Directs Hammer box set. This is 7 discs. In this box set, we've got The Horror of Frankenstein, Lust for a Vampire, and Fear in the Night. This is going to be 3 films on 7 discs with an all-new 312-page book and 19 hours of special features. Before we go into some of the details, any thoughts on these Severin box sets? Did you pick up any of the box sets from them?
No, I haven't. Although I will say, I worked on the Wild Geese for Severin, which I think our booklet I think is 4 pages longer. Not that it's a contest or anything, but no, I haven't. Definitely looks cool though, just I know I'm kind of been a broken record here, but again, I'm just happy that any of these are out and with awesome artwork and everything.
Yeah, they kind of crushed this one. This is going to be shipping on or around June 30th, maybe slightly before if you order from their website. Some of the details on here, though, get really deep on this. So the Horror of Frankenstein, we've got a commentary Sangster and Marcus Hearn. We got a commentary by Tim Lucas. On the Blu-ray, we've got all of those things and then an archival interview. And then we continue on. We've got all kinds of other archival interviews, featurettes on literally every single film that is in this box set. Lots and lots of stuff. If you do have the UK releases of these films, a lot of these are the same supplements that are on those, but this is crazy to get all 3 of these in one box set together. Looks like a just absolutely fantastic release. The 7th disc, by the way, it's 3 films, so you would think a 4K and a Blu-ray for each film. Why is there 7 discs? The 7th one, just even more bonus features. There is legacy documentaries on here. There's a brand new documentary called Hammer and Beyond, the Jimmy Sangster Legacy from 2026 by Marcus Hearn. There is just so much in here. Interviews, visual essays, appreciations, introductions to the films, so much on here. This is an abundance of riches if you are a Hammer fan. Terry says the artwork is a little bad.
I'm just looking at the box, and it looks like it's split in the middle where you take the top off. And having worked on a few of those for Arrow, getting that to align properly is more often than not a pain, especially with the printers where there's usually a 1 or 2 millimeter variance. So if you get one that lines up, great. If not, sorry. We do the best we can with these.
Yeah, I completely understand that. That is a lot of work, guaranteed. To go with this, they are also releasing Children of the Wicker Man. This is coming on the same day. This is a 2024 film. This is the first time it's been on disc anywhere in the world. And this is, with his 73 directorial debut, Robin Hardy fought to craft what would eventually be recognized as one of the greatest horror movies ever made. But for his loved ones, Hardy created a very different kind of nightmare. Now, art historian Dominic Hardy and filmmaker Justin Hardy, half-brothers and self-described far-flung spawn, explore their late father's complicated legacy in this incredibly brave and touching documentary that will take you on a journey unlike any you've been on before. This will have interviews with the filmmakers. It will have Q&A with the filmmakers as well, a making of featurette and a trailer. I love The Wicker Man. Are you a Wicker Man fan?
It's been a while, that's for sure. Although this is a documentary.
It is a documentary about the director of The Wicker Man.
Okay. I always find it interesting when when documentaries have extras, because it's almost like documenting the documentary, and there's like an extra level of meta sort of involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, working on that myself right now. We not to go too far behind the scenes, but a lot of people were interested that Antenna's first title that we announced was a documentary, because a lot of physical media companies do not do any documentaries. I can flatly say right now we have signed many documentaries, at least 4 or 5, and all of them will be getting physical releases. I think there's one that is up in the air, but they will each come with a wide breadth of extras. I can guarantee that now. To round out the month for Severin, this is maybe my most exciting release of this entire slate here. They partnered with Yellow Veil, who is now also a partner label of Severin. Don't worry, they're still a partner label of OCN. Who knows why they had to go for Severin for this one? Maybe just to put out a box set, because not a lot of partner labels get to do that for OCN. Maybe they just have too many films. Maybe it was just a Severin co-production. We'll probably never find out. But they're putting out a box set of films for a filmmaker that I'm going to butcher the name here, and I apologize. Adam is already waiting for me to say the name. I believe it's Lucille Hadjihalivovich. Oh, I had it the first time. Hadjihalivovich. I believe that's pretty close. Hadjihalivovich. Halilovic. There it is. Haja Halilovic is, I believe, the right way to say it. This is a 4-disc set with 4 hours of special features and a 60-page companion book. In this set, we've got Innocence, Evolution, The Ice Tower, and Earwig. If you've been paying attention to releases overseas, you'll probably recognize Earwig. That was released by the company Anti-Worlds over in the UK. They are like a sister label of Indicator. And all of these are filled with extras. I think we've got 1 or 2 that are brand new releases in the North American side. So Innocence, this is a North American Blu-ray premiere. It sounds like a great film. The Evolution is not for the first time, but it's got some extras on there as well. Earwig is first time in North America, and that's got a bunch of extras, including short films on a few of these. And they've also got at the bottom there it is, The Ice Tower, a bunch of extras as well, Q&As, introduction, everything. This looks fantastic.
And with artwork by my friend Beth Morris, who I actually met when I was in the UK for 6 months. I spent a month in Cardiff, and we met up a couple times at a community space I was working out of called the Chapter Art Center. Nice. And always fun to talk shop, and she's certainly getting a ton of work too. So always happy to see that.
Beth is incredible. We'll talk about her later tonight for something special for me. They have a bunch of so many bundles to choose from this month, almost too many. But let's talk about these real quick. So we've got The Wicker Basket, which has The Children of the Wicker Man, and then a book with it that is a 232-page hardcover book. That bundle, $41. To me, not a terrible price. You get a documentary, you get a pretty decent hardcover book, $40, not too bad. Second bundle, they've got the Sangster Celebration bundle. This thing gets you the Sangster box set. You've got a Lust for a Vampire novelization, 1971 reissue. You've got 2 Severn Hall of Fame pins, one with Ralph Bates and one with Jimmy Sangster. You've got a Ute Stensgaard enamel pin. So you've got 3 pins, a book, and a box set, all in $162. Not terrible. Again, Severn been pretty reasonable with their prices lately. Then you've got the Sangster Wicker bundle. This gets you both of the Children of the Wicker Man items and all of the Sangster Drex Hammer items all together. $199, $200. Not too bad either. Or you can go all in on Sangster and the Haja Halilovic box. This is pretty crazy. It will get you the box sets. It will get you the book. It will get you the 3 pins. All of that, $225. Anything in these announcements from Severn that you're like, man, I am very keen on that one?
Certainly some stuff I'd like to watch, but not at the moment.
Understandable.
Yeah, but again, never say never, and it's every move. It's like if you haven't seen it, it's new for you. So
exactly. Next up, very interesting. I never expected to see this. June 2nd, Universal and SDS Studio Distribution Services, they're releasing The Office Superfan Extended episodes. Now, what is been a little bit confusing for people is this is the complete series of The Office. This is getting the extended episodes that were on Peacock. Every single episode in the series has been extended. And so you get all of those. It's more than 25 extra hours compared to the original release of the complete series. Are you an Office fan?
I haven't watched it since it aired, but yeah, I was a big Office fan. And I remember, if you remember those first few episodes, he played Michael a little differently. He had the hair. Yeah. Slicked back, but I was already a fan of the British version, and I remember there was a report on one of the geek websites about a test screening for this one, and apparently people thought it was too depressing. And when I read that, I thought, they got it. It'll work. If people who don't know think it's too depressing, then they got it.
Right.
But I have not seen the extended ones, though.
I've not seen any of them either. I hear they're very interesting. Just keep in mind, you likely will not get all the extras that are on the old box set here. Stan is saying it looks prohibitively expensive. I got to be honest, I'm kind of shocked. This thing is on Amazon right now for less than $75. And for a release of a complete series with 25 extra hours of content, that seems pretty inexpensive for a studio release for me. I mean, it's still, granted, it's 2026, $75 is still a lot of money, but that seems fairly inexpensive compared to what I expected. All right. Next up, speaking of expensive, May 26th, Lionsgate is releasing this Amazon exclusive Rambo 4K collection. Now, this is going to be interesting if you picked up the last big Rambo 4K steelbook set that had come out. And the reason here is because they fixed kind of everything that was wrong with that set. And if you're a big Rambo fan, which I am not, and you were anal about everything that was wrong about that set, you're going to be quite frustrated because that thing costs like $125. This thing is around $100. It's not steelbooks and all that stuff, but they fixed so much. So I'm going to go through some of these that's brand new. There's a brand new bonus disc that's brand new on this. It's got Reflections on First Blood with Ted Kotcheff, storyboarding First Blood, The Art of Rambo, Rambo Auction, poster gallery. Then on the second disc, everything is the same on that. We're going to get into the actual audio fixes and stuff like that in just a minute. But it's got all of the Rambo films. I've heard everybody laugh about there only being 3 and 4, and depending on how many you love and all that. But this is where it gets super interesting because we've got the theatrical and Sylvester Stallone's extended edition on Last Blood. There's a brand new Dolby Atmos cut on Last Blood that was not in the original one. We've got Dolby Atmos on Rambo 3. We've got Dolby Vision on all of these that was not on the previous releases. We've got like the original Laserdisc audio on a couple of these that are brand new. We've got let's see, Dolby True HD 5.1 from the newly discovered 70mm 6-track magnetic soundtrack on Rambo First Blood Part 2. Like lots of stuff that they went in and found after the first set was kind of botched. And this looks like it's going to be pretty solid if you are a Rambo fan. Are you a Rambo fan, sir?
I'm not a hardcore fan. I love the first film.
Yeah.
But the first film, of course, is completely different from the rest. I enjoy 2 and 3. I like the 4th one. I still haven't seen the last one, actually, Last Blood. And I still can't believe, Ted Kotcheff, who directed First Blood, also did Weekend at Bernie's. That's versatility. But I saw this and it was like, yeah, I'm going to have to pick it up. I've only ever owned the first one, and I think I got it at Best Buy for $8. So,
yeah,
I'll go with this. But I do have to give a shout out to the folks at Entrada, the record label. They've released the complete remastered scores over the years for the first 3 films. In fact, First Blood just got a new release, but fixes previous errors and things like that. And I believe their release of Rambo of Part 2, which came out I think in 2016, there's an alternate end title piece that Jerry Goldsmith did, which I think they salvaged from a tape cassette or something. So they're still discovering things from these movies. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to pick this up.
This is going to be tough because it has sold out multiple times already. So if you're keen on this one, you might want to get it sooner than later, if you can even. I learned that lesson, funny enough. If it's something I'm thinking about, I just order it. Because I remember when I ordered they've reprinted it, but when Sony did their Lawrence of Arabia Steelbook, it was the only time I had an Amazon order canceled. Like they literally ran out before they got to mine. I ended up ordering it from Target of all places. They had it. Again, first world problems, but at the time it was like, no, but Target, who knew? For those that weren't following that saga closely, shortly after that thing sold out, it was going for over $200 on eBay, which is just insanity. All right, next up, June 16th, we get a 4K Blu-ray and DVD coming of Baz Luhrmann's epic Elvis Presley in concert from last year. They also had part of the press release. This is the second time in the last year that a brand new studio film says a special edition steelbook will also follow later this year. So if you want a special edition of this, that's not saying it'll have special features, but to me, that's what special edition would mean. Also, they're obviously doing a steelbook, so if you're a steelbook fan, you might want to wait on that. But there's nothing on this disc other than the film. If you're an Elvis person or a Baz Luhrmann person, that might be enough. But if you really love it and you want extras, you might want to wait. All I know is that I've heard so many varied opinions on this sort of thing. A lot of people that love it, a lot of people that are pissed off because Baz Luhrmann kind of like shook things up, didn't credit even like the band members, made some of the performances be disjointed and not properly done. Are you an Elvis guy?
I am to the extent that everyone else is. I'm certainly no expert. I enjoy him. I went to the Neon Museum in Vegas where they have all the old signs, and I'm not an expert on Vegas's history, but there were, some people there who were looking at it. It's like, oh, that's the marquee from where Elvis performed in they were naming all that stuff. But there are definitely people who are bigger fans than I am.
I get it. I'm not super high up on it either, but I'm very curious what a giant Elvis fan thinks of this thing. That's for sure. Next up, one that I loved from last year, May 12th, we are finally getting news about a Blu-ray release from Lionsgate of Twinless from last year. Did you get to see this one?
No, I didn't.
This is starring Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. The gentleman on the right, James Sweeney, is also the director of the film. I believe the writer as well. This is a movie that I can't really say much about. You kind of shouldn't know anything about it. Just go into it blind. I think it's up on Hulu right now, but this is one of the best films of the year, and hardly anybody got to see it. Please give this a watch. I am very, very much going to be picking this disc up. It's one of my favorites. Next, one that I'm quite excited about as well. We got some details on this. We talked about this, I think, about a month ago, but June 23rd, we are getting a Blu-ray and DVD release here in the U.S. from Cult Epics of Don't Play with Fire. Now, what is that movie? You probably know it more if you know this type of film as Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind. This is from Choi Hark from 1980. Not sure why they went with the Don't Play with Fire title when so many people know the other title, but oh well, here we are. This is one that I'm dying to see. The trailer for this looks incredible. On the bonus extras, we've got the uncensored international version, brand new 2K restoration. We've got an audio commentary by Frankie Balboa and Brandon Strusnig. We got an interview with the actor Paul Che, interview with the actor Albert Au, interview with the screenwriter Jado Chuk On, interview with the assistant director Oh Sing Pui, and then the second disc has the banned Chinese version. There's an English dubbed version as well. The English dub is only in SD. And then we've got the original trailer and, brand new subtitles and all that. New art by Tony Stella, which how great's Tony Stella there, Scott?
He's great. And I've worked with his art many times with Arrow. And ironically, I was doing layout work for Cult Epics for a year or so. But my last one was The Girl Who Leapt Through Time with Sam Smith's art. So I did not work on this one. But, whoever gets Tony's art, just treat it well. Same with anyone's art, really,
Agreed. And I agree, Terry. This one had me at Choi Hark. Completely agreed. And Gentry, this is Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind. This is one that people have been talking about getting for a long time. So please look out for it. Next up, the remake of When a Stranger Calls from 2006 is getting a Via Vision release on May 27th on Blu-ray. This is one that you can pre-order starting on April 15th. This is going to be an individually numbered 3D lenticular hard case with 6 art cards. Bonus features on this are all archival, but we've got an audio commentary with the director Simon West and Camilla Bell, audio commentary by Jake Wade Wall, some deleted scenes, making of, and that's about it. Although I did want to point out, I had lots of people comment that the aspect ratio here is wrong. I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, and as it should be. Obviously, you want it framed properly, but not sure. Via Vision /Imprint has misprinted that once or thrice before, so you might want to check out. If you are a huge fan of this movie, you might want to wait for some reviews because this is not selling out day one, guaranteed. Yep. Via Vision seems to be making a thing out of releasing remakes of 80s horror movies, and they sell well, Mr. Fat Man. They're going to keep selling. All right. Moving to our next one. Speaking of 80s horror movies, Imprint is re-releasing Life Force. They had the giant, bigger than a cereal box size Life Force that they had put out previously. This is a pared down version of that release. It has the exact same 4 discs. All of the extras are the same. It's got a booklet with it in a hard box release. It doesn't have the posters. It doesn't have all of the other stuff that they had with it. Like, I think they had the script in the first release, but this is going to be significantly cheaper, and it's still in print, and that's a good thing. Life Force rules. Obviously, this is like the 4th limited edition release of Life Force, which is a little overkill. Just keep in mind, territories are a thing. If you've never seen Life Force, this is the best time to watch it. It's a great movie. You should watch it.
I kind of still want the big box.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is bonkers. I kind of love it. And what's funny, so a friend of mine and his family, they went to the Caribbean, and I just had to Google it. In St. Martin, Nick Malley, who did a lot of the makeup and creature effects for this, I think he's on one of the audio commentaries. He has a little museum with his collection. So if you're ever in the Caribbean, check out, it's literally called the Yoda Guy Movie Experience, because he worked on Empire. And my friend told me that. And it's like, I'm pretty sure there were several Yoda guys, but he's one of them. And he has a little shop with props and things on display. Just if you Google it, you'll find the page on TripAdvisor. You know, it looks pretty cool. But yeah, this movie's insane. And yeah, I know. And, you know, I know Scream Factory, they didn't, I think only the theatrical cuts in 4K, but all the other labels. Yep. And I asked Arrow about that. And I think it was like, yeah, that took a lot of work to get the longer cut, you know, up to spec for 4K, but glad they did it.
Glad they did it, and now Imprint has it as well. Did want to shout out Paul Berryman, says the episode on Imprintcast about Life Force is up now. Glad to be a part of that. Howard S. Berger is also on that episode, and it's a long one. They talk about the history of canon films. Go give it a listen for sure. Stan in our chat says Life Force is very special to me. I don't want to spoil anything, but we'll talk about Life Force later this year in regards to Stan at some point, I believe. Let's carry on. This one's a little frustrating. May 19th, here in the U.S., we are getting a Blu-ray from Decal of Surratt from last year, which, did you happen to see Surratt?
No, I have not.
This is a very wild movie, kind of hard to explain. It's a very sound-heavy movie, but as you can see from the picture, they're only putting this out on a BDR. It's a made-on-demand, burn disc. It's not going to be up to par with the quality of what you're expecting. It's not going to be a great disc. Decal's doing it, so it was already not going to be a great disc, let's be honest. But the bigger thing here is this is being released on 4K over in the UK, and they're giving it as much attention as they can. And you're not going to get that here in the U.S. So if you want the best release of this, you can check that out from the U.K. I believe that comes out soon. I've got it on pre-order because I definitely wanted the best release of that one. Good movie. Recommend it. I know it's kind of a divisive film. It's, I won't say plotless, but you just kind of have to, it's very much like a journey film. You got to go on the journey with this one for sure. All right. Going to our next title. Speaking of 4K, this is a big deal. May 5th, we are getting a 4K and Blu-ray dual format release from Disney of Alice in Wonderland from 1951. This is a beautiful movie, and it has never looked as good as this restoration is about to look. I've got linked in the original announcement post of this a restoration demonstration that's on YouTube. Open that up later and go give it a watch. The way that Disney shows what they've done to the animation for this movie, it is just striking what this is about to look like on 4K. Cannot wait to be able to see this. I hope my kids can fall in love with it because it looks beautiful. I've always loved this movie. Are you a Disney animation or Alice in Wonderland fan?
You know what? We were never a big Disney household growing up, to be honest. And it wasn't, it wasn't political or religious or anything like that. We just, it was more Warner Brothers than Disney. I didn't even see The Lion King, like until I was in college, to be honest. But anytime Disney reaches into the catalog is cause for celebration.
Agreed.
I can go on about that, but but no, this looks beautiful.
We can keep those thoughts locked up in the vault. This looks great. The only thing I will say, I don't know the best way to say that. Like, I don't hate the cover art that they're going with on these newer Disney 4Ks. I do just kind of wish we had the original poster art and not this sort of abstract encapsulation of everything in the film. But this is going to be gorgeous. Again, go check out the restoration demonstration at some point. It looks just beautiful. Next up. Man, this is pretty cool. So speaking of antenna, we are putting on a screening at the Woodstock Film Festival on June 12th. If you are anywhere near Kingston, New York, please go check this out. We are showing Ferris Bueller, the 4K restoration, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And to make it special, we are showing the short documentary before this called Oh Yeah. This is about Yellow and the very pop culture defining song Oh Yeah from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is by Nick Canfield, and Nick will be live in person at this film festival to talk about it. There's going to be an 80s dance party, costume contest, photo booth. Abe Froman, the Sausage King, will be there. Beyond all of that, we're going to be taking Ferris Bueller's Day Off and the short, Oh Yeah, across the country to quite a few theaters this June. So be on the lookout for more of these coming. I love that we get to work on this. Next up, coming soon on Blu-ray in the U.S. from Kino is Till We Meet Again from 1944 with Ray Milland and Barbara Britton, done by Frank Borzage. Never seen this, never heard of this. Is this your type of movie there, Scott?
Not really, but having seen him, first time I watched Dial M for Murder, Ray Milland, it's like, okay, I got to see more of this guy's movies.
Yeah.
And then The Big Clock, which he's also in, but yeah, I've not seen this one. And yeah.
Maybe more to your taste. They're doing a 4K soon of Orgasmo from 1997. This is the Trey Parker and Matt Stone film. Any thoughts on Orgasmo?
Not, you know what? I probably saw bits and pieces of it when it aired on, like, late on HBO one night in the 90s. Although I might be in the minority, maybe Kino will do it. If there was ever a 4K of basketball, that I would pick up on day one.
I have a feeling they're likely going to follow this up with basketball here soon. I remember liking Orgasmo quite a bit, it being very, very 90s cheesy, very Matt Parker, Trey and Matt comedy, if that's your sort of thing. But it also, I mean, it led to the Book of Mormon. It led to so many other things that we see nowadays. So yeah, very keen. I hope that they do this 4K right, because Kino is very hit or miss, especially lately. All right. Next up, Jory from 1973 is coming to Blu-ray from Kino on June 16th. This is a new interview with Robbie Benson, who plays Jory in this film. We already talked about Westerns. Any thoughts on Robbie Benson or Jory?
No, not really.
Nice. Same here. Except I clicked away. Let's go through a whole bunch of Kino things. We've got 2024 Suburban Fury coming on DVD. This sounds incredible, and it's only coming on DVD. This is coming on June 9th, by the way. So this says it is a gripping portrait of Sarah Jane Moore, a single mother from suburban San Francisco who in 1975 attempted to assassinate President Gerald Ford. More than a historical retelling, the film is an intimate character study and a chilling mirror of America's ideological divide. Yeah, this sounds great. I kind of feel like I need to see this. I really wish it wasn't DVD only.
I would totally watch this. This is something that would probably, in a few months might be streaming on Canopy. But I also recognize the great Midnight Marauders poster artwork being used as well.
Looks great. Yep.
Definitely I would watch this.
Next up is 2026's film Fantasy Life getting a DVD-only release from Kino on June 9th as well. This one with Amanda Peet, and it's got Judd Hirsch and Bob Balaban in this one. Matthew Shear is the other star. I'm sure this is not one that you've had a chance to see already this year.
No, I haven't, but I actually did. This is literally coming back to me right now. I don't even know if they're being used. I actually worked on streaming thumbnails for this movie a year ago.
Nice.
And I have no idea if they're being used or not, but I'm looking at this still like, I've seen this before. Yeah.
Yeah. First off, a little side thing. I know we talked about like the paradox of the crossing the international date line earlier.
Mhm.
It is really weird being contributors and working on all these releases and trying to keep track of the timeline of when did I work on something for this? It got announced. When is it coming out? Why don't I have it in my hands yet? And then you realize I worked on this thing 2.5 years ago, still hasn't been announced. That's why I don't have it yet or something. It's always crazy when that happens. All right. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I literally still have it all on my external hard drive, and whatever the thumbnails I did aren't that, but different context, and they have to be designed differently.
Yeah, of course. June 30th, we're getting a DVD only from Kino of Amram from 2025 as well. It's a spring of 1945 film, which means, it's got to be about Germany. So, check that out if you're into it. There's a trailer on the disc as well. Next up is Yes, also getting a DVD only release from June 9th. This is one of international cinema's most fearless and provocative filmmakers, supposedly. That's Nadav Lapid. Never heard of him, so if he's one of the most fearless and provocative, he probably needs better marketing. Check out Yes on DVD on June 9th if you're into that from Kino. Next up, last year's Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Are you into musicals?
I can be. I'm not against them. I'll watch them, but I don't automatically seek them out, but I don't avoid them either.
Yeah, I saw this one last year. This is coming on June 30th on 4K from Kino. This was kind of a shock that they announced this one. Did not expect it. This will have Dolby Vision, and it will have Dolby Atmos audio. It will have a commentary by Bill Condon, the director, a deleted scene, and a teaser and trailer. Fairly good movie. I thought it was really well acted, especially by Diego Luna and Tona Tuya, who's also in this. Jennifer Lopez, take it or leave her. Not big for me, but it was a fairly decent movie. I still have not seen the original, so I can't really speak much on that. Next up, one that I am dying to see in HD. June 23rd, we're getting number 50 in the Kino cult line already, and that's Hell's Highway, the true story of highway safety films. I cannot wait, because I feel like this is right up your alley, Scott. Is this something you're interested in?
This I would totally. I think I just saw this yesterday, but this is definitely something I would check out too.
So this has the 2003 documentary Hell's Highway, the true story of highway safety films. But for a lot of people, the reason to get this is to accompany that. They also have three different driver's ed films here that have all been restored. They've got Mechanized Death, Wheels of Tragedy, and Highways of Agony. Love that they're doing this. The documentary as a commentary with writer-director Brett Wood. We've got the complete 2003 pre-restoration version, trailers, deleted scenes, lots of stuff here. I love that somebody other than AGFA is putting time and energy into stuff like this, and I've only ever heard complete adoration for the people that love these things.
On The Simpsons, when Phil Hartman played Troy McClure in one of his appearances, it was you might remember me from such educational videos as Alice's Adventures Through the Windshield Glass.
Yep,
that was one of them.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, cannot wait to get this. This sounds very exciting. Glad it's coming out June 23rd, Blu-ray. And then the next one, June 30th, we are getting number 51 in the Kino cult line. And this is 1989's Matinee. No, not Joe Dante's Matinee. Mm-hmm. This one is very interesting. I don't believe this has had any release in the U.S., let alone HD or anything like that. This is a 1989 meta slasher in the tradition of Fade to Black and Popcorn. Matinee opens with a savage stabbing at a small town cinema, forcing its closure. After 2 years, the case has gone cold, and the Paramount Theater is allowed to reopen. But as the lights go down, tensions rise, and the Houston Horror Film Festival once again becomes a deranged killer's cinematic stalking ground. Let's have an audio commentary by Jason Wachonsky and Paul Karupe, which means it's a Connexploitation film. Very eager to see this one. Love that they're doing this. We've got Don S. Davis from Twin Peaks in this. We've got William B. Davis from X-Files. He played the Smoking Man. Dying to see this. This sounds pretty dang fun. Next up, a name you will recognize. Ruggero Deodato's Waves of Lust from 1975 gets its first Blu-ray release from Raro Video on June 16th. This will have an audio commentary by Adrian Smith and Rod Barnett, deleted scenes, making of doc called Erotic Tsunami, and TV commercials directed by and commented on by Ruggero Deodato. Are you a Deodato fan at all?
It's, again, also a big gap in my movie going, but I've actually been doing the layout for all the Raro titles, so this is actually one of mine.
Oh, wow.
I just will say the image was very low res and required a lot of work, and the title I always try to match the original font when I can. But this one's one of mine. They're all pretty. I actually just got a new Raro title today to work on, but yeah, they're all pretty simple. They kind of come in on a semi-regular basis, most of the titles though were again just another. But again, I'll watch it one day. It'll be new to me. Yeah,
I got to ask, and maybe you don't want to say publicly. Do they give you contributor copies when you do layout for something like this for Kino and Raro?
I haven't gotten any of these. Some labels do, some don't. I don't complain. It is what it is. But no, I haven't received any of these actually.
Understandable. I wish they would. All right. Next up from Cohen Media Group, Eagles of the Republic from 2025, getting a Blu-ray on June 23rd. This says Egypt's most adored actor George Fahmy is pressured to star in a film commissioned by the highest authorities. He reluctantly accepts the role and finds himself thrown into the inner circle of power. Like a moth drawn to the flame, he begins an affair with the mysterious wife of the general overseeing the film. Cohen Media Group, for those that have never checked out anything from them, quite often they're pretty great. They kind of quietly just release a lot of really good movies. I am always pretty impressed. This one sounds kind of interesting. Definitely an international film I'd love to see.
I did a couple posters for Cohen actually a couple years ago, but I think one they didn't use, and then the other I sent them my files, and they were great to work with, but I don't know what happened with the movie. And then I'm in Barnes and Noble one day, and it's like, oh, there it is. So both international films, but like you said, sometimes these things take a while, or they just disappear and then suddenly reappear.
Yeah. Completely agreed there. Then next, Cohen Media putting out their second 4K, and this is the film Maurice from 1987. This is another Merchant Ivory film. It's got an audio commentary by Wade Major and Joseph Bristow, distinguished professor of English from UCLA. This is also going to have James Ivory and Pierre Lhomme on the making of Maurice. Q&A with James Ivory and Pierre Lhomme. We got a conversation between James Ivory and the director Tom McCarthy. Story of Maurice, conversation with the filmmakers. All kinds of stuff on here. I've not seen this one. It's a James Wilby and Hugh Grant starred films. I've heard this is beautiful. Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't.
I need to see it. From what I hear, it will look amazing in 4K. This one, another one I'm dying to see, Milestone on June 16th, releasing Queen Kelly from 1929. Now, this one is a fascinating tale because this was commissioned for 1929, and I am dying to see this one because while it was commissioned for 1929, it was never finished, and then later on it has been reconstructed, and the whole story of that just sounds fascinating. Technically, I believe it is a 1929 but also a 1932 film because of how they had to rebuild everything essentially after they weren't able to do the ending on this one. There's multiple one audio commentary on here, audio clips from a couple people involved with it, outtakes with optional commentary by the film historian Richard Kozarski, and then an intro by Gloria Swanson. Do you know anything about Queen Kelly?
No, I don't. I've actually worked on a couple of milestone titles for Kino, not this one, but yeah, I am not familiar. I am digging this Art Nouveau style artwork, though.
Yeah, very classic type of poster. What titles have you worked on for Milestone? They do a lot of really good stuff.
Well, I just did the double feature of Grass and Chang.
That's one I had my eyes on. Nice.
Worked on that one, and I think I only did one more. South, a documentary about the Shackleton expedition.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like those are the only two for now.
That makes sense. To go on from Merchant Ivory in 1929 to the cinematic classic of Leprechaun from 1992 or 3, depending on where you saw it. Lionsgate Limited is putting out a replacement disc for the 4K. Now, that in itself is not super uncommon, but really just wanted to highlight the saga of what happened on this replacement disc. We had some people complain that a lot of the tinting in the film on their 4K release was bad. Just plain yellow. Jennifer Aniston supposedly looked very jaundiced. I didn't purchase this, so I have not seen the disc. But Lionsgate updated their listing for that and said, well, this was approved by the director late last fall. And of course, if you pay attention to this, Mark Jones, the director, passed away just a few months ago. So there was no way that we could argue with that because Mark is now gone. And then after a lot more feedback, they came back and said, okay, it's actually wrong. Now we're going to do a replacement disc. So just kind of a weird, messed up situation to essentially blame a dead guy for a mistake and then go back on it. They are sending it automatically for everybody. You don't need to worry about ordering a replacement disc because it was a site exclusive. They know everybody that bought it. So just keep an eye out on your mailbox. There will be one coming. Are you a big Leprechaun fan?
Haven't watched them yet. One day, when it's fixed, I'll watch it.
How do you feel? Just as an art designer, how do you feel about this cover? Do you see what they were going for here? Because the leprechaun's behind it, and the coins is meant to look like a face smiling, and it's not like, unless you squint and close one eye, it's kind of rough to even see the shape of the face.
I mean, I see it.
Right.
I mean, it's even actually more prominent in the smaller thumbnail in the corner of the screen. I never want to badmouth, I mean, it's fine. And again, I haven't seen the film. I'm always more of a stickler. I always try to avoid drop shadows when I can. So seeing the shadow with under the title, it's like, that's something that always gets me. Not specific here, but no, again, I see what they were doing. It's also the kind of thing where someone might say, oh, it's not obvious enough, keep going. And then pull back. And again, no offense to anyone, I like it. But yeah, it's, but fans of the film would probably have a better thoughts or an opinion on that.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like when I look down the corner of my screen for what I'm sharing, it does look like it looks like a mask genuinely, but when it's just big in the screen like that, and you see the whole thing, good gosh, it's not super apparent. Anyways,
but I also get, and this isn't specific to this. It's like too many gags in one image. So you have the coins in the foreground, making a leprechaun face, but then you have the character in the background. And I'm wondering if at some point someone asked, "Is that too much? Is it like a joke, a joke on a joke almost? And can we get away with just one thing instead of both?" Since that's something I always deal with, like, well, we have this gimmick here, and this, just when does it become too much, and where does the person's attention go, and all that.
The big thing is Lionsgate is big on their gimmicks, and this is the slip cover for the steelbook. So you slip off the gold, and the leprechaun behind it is left on the steelbook. So
love it.
Anyways.
I mean, I would love to work for design for Lionsgate at some point too. But having you said that. Hearing you say that, it's like, okay, I get it. I can appreciate.
I get what they were going for.
Oh yeah.
Next up, not really my thing, but Sailor Moon Crystal Collection is coming out on June 9th on Blu-ray. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is not the complete collection because it doesn't have, I think, the movies, if I'm remembering right. I don't know much about Sailor Moon. Are you a diehard Sailor Moon fan?
The girl I had a crush on in high school was.
Full circle. Glad that you had that experience. Hey, the brand new issue of my magazine, The Physical Media Advocate, is out now. You can check this out on Amazon or in, 20 plus stores now. And we're in 4 countries, which is weird to say that you can pick it up in store in 4 different countries. Frank Zappa on the cover. It's a great issue. I recap True False Film Festival. We talk about Messiah of Evil. Big piece from Justin Beam on George Buck Flower in here. Check it out. It's a great one. Wow, this is a lot of self-promotion. I was also on an episode of the Vegan Satanist podcast this week with Laurent Omanzik from Germany. Normally, I wouldn't promote just a little podcast appearance all that much, but I've gotten a lot of messages saying this was kind of an important episode. So check it out if you're keen on it. We go into a lot about like the therapeutic sides of physical media and collecting and finding a community in this sort of thing, which is why I am really kind of doing everything that I'm doing. So check this out if it's something that you'd like to hear about. Laurent is incredible, and his work with like tracking down films to take them to literally the top portions of the government in Germany to petition them to be able to play in Germany is to be commended far more than I can ever give him credit for. But check it out. It's a great issue. I said issue again, talking about a magazine. It's an episode. It's fantastic. Will Go USA is putting out a film called The Ugly from last year on May 26th on Blu-ray and DVD, and I've heard this is rather good. I'm dying to see this one. This has a trailer on there, and it says, from director Yong Sang-ho, who also did Train to Busan, comes a story of generational grief and guilt while overseeing a documentary crew filming his blind father at work. Im Dong Hwan gets a phone call that his missing mother's remains have been found after 40 years. Determined to find the truth of her disappearance, Dong Hwan embarks on a twisted odyssey through his family's traumatic past, uncovering dark secrets along the way. Are you paying attention to any modern Asian films like this? I'm
not really. I am digging this cover art, though. Like, that's the kind of stark minimalism that I strive for. I must confess I'm really not, though.
Understandable. Completely get it. I need to see this. I really love Train to Busan. Did you ever see that one?
I still haven't. I'm sorry.
Got to check it out. It's pretty great. Yeah. All right. Over the weekend, we got new releases from Error 4444. These are going to be shipping in either June or July. This first one is City Warriors from 1988, and it says an ex-soldier from mainland China arrives in Hong Kong and uses the cover of a tour bus led by a cheerful tour guide to look for his estranged sister. Little does he know his sister has been forced into prostitution by the very man she married. This will have a brand new 2K restoration. It will have the 2K uncut Cantonese with SD shot inserts, 2K Mandarin cut with alternate sequences, new interview with the action director, new visual essay by Invincible Asia, new audio commentary with Kenneth Brorson and Phil Gillen of the Podcast on Fire Network. It will have the Cantonese and Mandarin dub audio and English and Chinese subtitles, limited to 2,000 units. We got a double-sided slipcover, a booklet with an essay by Tom Cunliffe, and 3 stickers with new art by Justin Coffey. Have you checked out anything from Error 44?
No, I haven't. Although every time they make an announcement, it's just, God, I want to work for these people one day and design something. I mean, I can't do this, but I'm sure I could be of service to them. But yeah, I'm always, whenever I do a shameless self-promotion post on social media, which I hate doing, I always try to tag them.
Yeah, I can try to nudge them towards you. They are great people. I really appreciate what they're doing. And speaking of that, this next one also is in line with that. Kung Fu Student from 1989. This one looks just crazy. I believe this is the first time any of these directors' films have been on Blu-ray anywhere in the world. If I think I'm right on that, I need to look it up again. But this is about a down-on-her-luck college student with dreams of becoming as badass as Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator or Sylvester Stallone in Rambo. Soon her life takes a turn when she inadvertently blocks the reincarnation attempt of a ghostly gangster. Taiwanese action star Alexander Lo Ray is that gangster. Now stuck together, they must learn to work as one to kick ass and get revenge on the gang members who murdered him. This is a Taiwanese action comedy gem. This will have a new 2K restoration, new interview with the actress from it, new visual essay by a friend of the show, Michelle Kisner, new audio commentary with Justin DeClue and Dylan Chung. We got Mandarin audio, English and Chinese subtitles on this one, a double-sided slipcover, a booklet with an essay by Dr. Mingye Ronsley, 3 stickers with new art by Michael DeForge. And this looks really fun. Very curious to see this one. The art on here is going to be divisive. I can just tell right now. A lot of people don't like that style. It looks fun. I'm into it.
It's definitely the kind of release where, if I got a title like this from Arrow to work on, where the essay, reading the essays like is an educational experience because a lot of it, a lot of gaps in my film watching experience. So, when I get, like certain Asian titles, for instance, from Arrow, I devour those essays just
right
as a prospective fan. You learn something.
Of course, I am all about it. God, yeah, we probably could have just gone over like favorite booklets instead of audio commentaries, but maybe next time.
Well, I will say real quick, one of my favorite essays that I've done with Arrow is for Warning from Space. There's an essay in that booklet about the dubbing process, which is just the kind of geekery that I'm into. Like that's still, that one came out like 5 years ago, and it's still one I talk about. Like, we need to strive for this.
Absolutely. All right. I said I was going to be talking about Beth Morris again. This is the official reveal of a Beth Morris designed poster for Antenna. This is our film, The Man Whom the Trees Loved. It is going to be premiering at the Florida Film Festival here in the next couple weeks. The trailer was just revealed on YouTube as well. I'm going to pull that up and play that as part of the show later on tonight because I think more people should see it. It is a really great trailer. Beth crushed it with this cover. I am so stoked on this. For those that have not heard me talk about this before, this is based on the Algernon Blackwood short story called The Man Whom the Trees Loved. And with the design, we really wanted this to look like it was popping off of a page of a book. So the border of it is meant to look like it's actually from a novel. It is such a really great design. And when you see the trailer, hopefully you get the feeling that the film is really trying to capture a little bit more. So yeah, I'll show that trailer in a little bit. But if you're in Florida, please consider going to see the premiere. It looks like a great time. I don't want to put you on the spot, but any thoughts on this Beth Morris poster? I'd love to hear what you think.
I like it. When I saw, because, you hired me to do a poster, but, we're not doing that documentary. So,
right.
I was kind of wondering, what's going to be first out of the gate, so to speak. And, it's always nice always nice to see a, friend get, the gig, and, Beth does good work.
I agree. She does just excellent work. Next, this is another one of those frustrating situations. Warner Brothers, at some point this year, is releasing Mars Attacks on 4K. You're expected, if you really want this, to pre-order the Steelbook, even though there's no art. You can pre-order a collector's edition from the UK, even though there's no art and no thoughts on special features. Who knows what it's going to have with it? But check it out if you want to spend anywhere from $50 to $70 on a collector's edition. I'm sure that you feel the same as me. Any thoughts on why they wouldn't release art super soon? Well,
I assume, they've been doing this, for the last year, just with this placeholder art. And with Warner Brothers, artwork wise, it could go either way, to be honest. But I'm just genuinely surprised they're doing this themselves instead of licensing it to Arrow, so I can work on it. But it's definitely, I'm a huge Burton fan, but it's definitely a movie I wish I liked more than I do.
I just wish we were able to get a 4K of Ed Wood instead, but that will likely never happen. All right, next up, Unearthed Films on July 14th is releasing Tetsuo the Bullet Man, not Tetsuo the Iron Man. This, I believe, is the third film in the Tetsuo saga. This is the first English-friendly Blu-ray release of this, I believe. We get an audio commentary on here with the actor Eric Bosick and Japanese cinema expert Tom Mess. We got a multi-material version of Tetsuo the Bullet Man, photo gallery, and trailers. Have you ever seen Tetsuo the Iron Man?
Oh, no, I have not.
Understandable. I think a lot of people have not seen it. Totally fine. Next up is a Zhang Yimou film that is Red Sorghum, coming to Blu-ray from Media OCD Official's Whole Grain Pictures line. This is from 1988. This is the Gong Li film. This will have a visual essay by Jonathan Clements, interview with Tony Raines, and a trailer. I still think it's quite odd that they are releasing this. I really expected somebody like Criterion or even like a Cohen Media to pick up the Zhang Yimou films in the US. But yeah,
I'm just looking at the artwork, and again, my drop shadows, my pet peeve for some reason, and it looks like a screenshot. And as someone who does this a lot, often you only have screenshots to work with, so it's always a case of making it look good and what can you add to it. And I mean, I think this one looks fine, but that's always the work I do for Shameless Films. That's often a challenge. Is here are the 1080p screenshots, go and
do the best you can. Yeah.
Just trying to make them look as good and appealing as you can. But I'm digging this.
Yeah. I love that we're following up Zhang Yimou with Rise of the Super Tromettes, July 14th. Troma is releasing Rise of the Super Tromettes. This is from 2025, and it says a mysterious virus is infecting the men of Tromaville. It's up to the female vigilante team known as the Super Tromettes to unite and tackle this threat. This is going already for like $13 on Blu-ray or something like that. So it's got to be a Troma masterpiece. From Troma, they are also releasing Sugar Cookies on Blu-ray, which is kind of odd because the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray is still available on their site. I believe it is going out of print, but this is coming on July 14th. You can check that out. Now, I don't believe any of these are new extras. They're all from the Vinegar Syndrome release or even earlier, but glad the movie will still be available for everybody and inexpensive, so that's a good thing. Next up, VCI releasing Poverty Row Classics Volume 2. Now, a few months ago, we had talked about this, but they have since updated their release of this. It was supposed to come out in May. Now it comes out on July 14th, and now they've changed the second film. So they're putting out East Side Kids from 1940, and now they're putting out Let's Get Tough, also from 1940. They switched out the second title there. Not sure why, but hey, something must have happened, and here we are. Next up, Film Masters on July 14th. They're putting out 1950s Destination Moon as part of their special edition line. This is produced by George Pal, and it's got a restored trailer from a 4K scan, a full-length commentary by Justin Humphreys, Making of Destination Moon, a new documentary by Ballyhoo Motion Pictures, Flight to Mars restored trailer, new documentary by Ballyhoo again called Interstellar Travelogues Extended Edition. There's an archival doc by Ballyhoo. This is now multiple times that they've worked on this film. There's a lot here, plus a full-color inserted booklet with the new essay by Sloan DeForest. Have you checked out much from Film Masters or seen anything from them?
No, I haven't, but I'm reading the specs, and I haven't seen the name. The name James Van Hise brings back memories back when they used to do all these unauthorized Star Trek like episode guides and encyclopedias and things like that. And he was all over, assuming it's the same guy, like he was all over those. I think before Paramount, I think they cracked down on them at some point. But no, it's definitely, this is something I would definitely check out.
Yep. And Explosive Action, you are right. They did put out Flight to Mars. I believe that was when they were still the Film Detective and became the Film Masters. So this is more of like a cobbling together sort of things. But it's a double feature. It'll be reasonably priced. So that's a good thing. Next up, a film I had heard is great. I need to see this. The Napa Boys from last year is coming to Blu-ray from Magnolia on May 19th. This is supposed to be pretty damn funny. It has no extras on the disc, but looks like a great time. Check out the trailer to see if it's your type of comedy. Next, Invasion USA from 1985. This already has a 4K in the US, but it is getting a re-released Blu-ray over in the UK on June 29th from Final Cut Entertainment. Is that good news? Well, it'll be in print, sure. But this was previously done by 88 Films in the UK, and this is not going to be an upgrade in any way. In fact, Final Cut is known for pretty bad discs. So just more awareness, I guess, that they're releasing this. I would heartily recommend, if you love this or Chuck Norris, I definitely recommend the Vinegar Syndrome release of this film.
I just hear Chuck Norris's name and I think of Joe Piscopo and Sidekicks. Chuck Norris?
And this cover is not super appealing either. All right. Next up, this is, funny enough, a very small film in the grand scheme of things this week, but a fairly large deal for people that love this sort of thing. May 26th, Cape Light and MPI are releasing The Roundup Outlaws from 2017. If you recognize this guy on the cover, that is Don Lee, and this is a big deal because this is the first of the Roundup films. Technically, when this was released, it was not called The Roundup. I believe it was just called The Outlaws, but this has never had a U.S. Blu-ray release, so this is a big deal. This is one that I believe they've made 4 of these films now, and this is the first time that the first one is being released on HD here in the U.S., so check check this out if you are keen on Asian action. I'm dying to pick this up. Glad that they're doing it here. I need this. Josh, fact check me if you need to. I hope everything I just said was right. I believe that there are 4, and I believe this is the first time U.S. has gotten a Blu-ray release of this. So check it out. Josh said he had to import a Korean Blu-ray of this film. Yikes. Now it is here, and you can probably get it for less than $23. Next, Magnolia on May 26th is releasing Heel from last year. Now, what's interesting is over in the UK, this was previously titled Good Boy. And of course, the POV dog horror film from last year was also called Good Boy. So they changed the title of this film to Heel. This is from Jan Komasa. It's a twisted thriller that follows 19-year-old hooligan Tommy, played by Anson Boone, who revels in a life of drugs, parties, and violence. One night, on a bender with his reckless friends, he becomes separated from the group and is abducted by an unknown figure, played by Stephen Graham. I've heard this is great. I need to see this movie. No extras on here. It also has Andrea Riseborough, who's kind of amazing in everything that she does. Heel. Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't.
Me neither, dying to. This looks so fun. All right. The show Dark Winds Season 4 is getting an AMC Blu-ray on June 16th. This will have a handful of special features, just some small featurettes. I have never seen even a second of this film or this show. If you're into it, I'm glad it's still getting a Blu-ray release.
My dad watches it, actually.
Nice.
It's one of the few new shows he does watch, but no, he's a fan.
I have heard from people that love it, that they really love it. So they must have a very strong fan base of this one. All right. Next up, wanted to shout out an event coming up. Silk Screams is presenting the Buffalo Horror Garage Sale, May 30th and 31st in Buffalo, New York. 2 days, all horror. There's going to be celebrities, vendors, panels, and movies. They've got 80 plus vendors selling nothing but horror items, and they have cast members from movies like Frankenhooker, Basket Case, Brain Damage, The Stepfather, Popcorn, Class of '84, Deadly Eyes, and more. Lots of free parking here. The best part about this entire event, if you go for 1 day ticket to get in, only $5. If you get a ticket for the whole weekend, it's a whole $8. What kind of event is only charging $5 or $8 in 2026 to get in? Pretty decent names here too. We got Frank Kenenlotter, Patty Mullen, Jill Sholin, Chris LaMartina from WNUF Halloween, the director, is going to be there. If you're into Blu-rays, like pretty much everybody watching this is, you can check out Art Edinger, who's really great at what he does. Even Michael Felsher is going to be in there. Check it out. Go up there if you are anywhere close. It seems like a good time. And for $5, I mean, can't really go wrong there. We got some details on 88 Films' release of Rounders. This is coming to Blu-ray on May 11th. This is still only a Blu-ray. A lot of people complaining this is not 4K, but all the extras on here. We get an audio commentary with John Dahl and some of the screenwriters and Edward Norton. Commentary with a handful of professional poker players, including Johnny Chan, Phil Hellmuth, and Chris Moneymaker, and Chris Ferguson. An interview with David Levin and Brian Kopelman. Behind-the-scenes featurette, Inside Professional Poker featurette. Are you a Rounders fan?
Again, this one, it's been a long time, but I certainly recognize, I think that's Tommy Pocket's artwork, which I recognize from a mile away.
I really like this art, and I got a lot of complaints when I posted this today. I don't know. Something about it just appeals to me.
Oh, yeah. Thomas Walker. But no, I'm digging it too. I like the color scheme. But yeah, as for the movie, it's been a long time.
Same. I've not seen it in ages. Then we've got He-Man and She-Ra, the Ultimate Collection, coming to DVD only on May 26th. I believe this has all of the legacy features that were on the previous releases and really not much of anything else. I think the biggest thing is that they are all bundled together, and I don't think that had happened previously. And so if you're into these or you want to be able to capture them in the biggest collection, this might be the way to do that. They're clearly timing this to come out with the Masters of the Universe remake that's coming out later this year. Are you, I mean, knowing your age, I feel like these would be tailor-made for you. Are you into this?
You know, I'm sure I watched a few, but it wasn't part of my regular Saturday
Me
morning
neither.
rotation, which is why I also always laugh when I watch Ghostbusters 2, the opening party scene when the kid's like, I thought it was going to be He-Man.
Yeah.
I would have been Team Ghostbusters. But yeah, I would have seen a few. It just wasn't, really that big part of my childhood.
I agree. And yeah, that's it for announcements for this week. Just a reminder of what's coming out next week in case you forgot. We've got The Life of Brian 4K from Criterion, The Phantom 4K from Kino Lorber, Runaway Train 4K from Kino, Trouble in Paradise 4K from Criterion, Remo Williams on 4K from Kino. That Becoming Led Zeppelin 4K Steelbook is coming out. Hearts of Darkness, The Making of the Final Friday, coming from Red Shirt Pictures. Meet the Fockers 4K. Death Ship 4K from Kino. Euphoria 4K from Kino as well. Groove from 2000 getting a 4K. We've got a couple other smaller titles like A Traveler's Needs from Cinema Guild. I've heard that I need to see that one. Team In from, I believe that one is a Kino release. We've got Midwinter Break coming next week as well. And that's about it. Any of these titles that you're after soon? I know I need A Life of Brian soon.
Maybe Remo Williams. Definitely not Fockers, that's for sure.
Same. I've never, even Meet the Parents, I've never been into any of those for some reason.
I like the first one, didn't finish the second one, never watched the third one.
I keep forgetting that there was, what was that? Little Fockers? Was that the third one? Yikes. All right. Before we go into our audio commentary conversation, here is really quick that trailer for The Man Whom the Trees Loved. Let me make this full screen for everybody. Going to play the audio with it and everything. Here we go.
How was your day?
I went for a walk in the woods. And it was. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like it felt like the old days, It was really warm, magical feeling. All the trees are like connected and interlaced, and that sounds kind of funny, but it's kind of like they're all talking to you. I can't remember the last time I felt that inspired.
That sounds wonderful.
All right. Check that out at Florida Film Festival in the next couple of weeks. It will be a handful of other festivals this year, and then it will come to theaters early 2027. That's The Man Whom the Trees Loved by Tevin Dean and Woodruff Laputka. Great film. I hope people love it.
Well,
all right.
Looks interesting and, atmosphere. Love a movie with atmosphere.
Lots of atmosphere, and it's a very Florida movie, which is why we premiered at the Florida Film Festival. It was all shot in Florida, and hope people love it. All right, tonight, audio commentaries. Why do you like audio commentaries, Scott?
To be fair, they're not all created equal.
True.
When I first started buying DVDs, I think I bought my first player in '98. It was something I'd only read about, and I was too young to get into Laserdisc. And it was like just the idea of hearing someone talk over a film about how it was made. In fact, it's on the Criterion channel, the out of print stuff. I still need to check out the King Kong commentary which was, I think, the first one ever recorded. But it just seemed like one of those cool things, and and having always been interested in how movies are made, why not? But again, some commentaries are better than others, and the ones that are in my, it's kind of a mix of informative and funny ones.
Right. I chose 5 because we're doing 5 of our favorites, and I chose 5 all for different reasons. So one of them is specifically because they're super informative, but I've got reasons for all of them. I can't wait to go into it. Let's hear what is your first one you want to bring up tonight.
Okay, these are in no particular order, by the way.
Yeah.
But I will say Star Trek Generations with Ron Moore and Brannon Braga, which I think there are a couple of bits that were edited on the DVD special edition, but if you have the Blu-ray or the 4K, everything's accounted for. But having been a Trek fan since I was a kid, since 1992, with Next Generation and then Deep Space Nine, Voyager, etc., the modern shows, some more than others, but this one, it's super informative, super candid, which I'm surprised, some of the, not that they say anything horrible, but they talk about not just writing the movie, but also working on the show. And
right.
I think Moore started in season 3, Braga in 4, and they were writing the series finale, All Good Things, kind of at the same time as they were writing the movie, and they both kind of come to the realization, damn it, the finale was better, because it was their first movie. They had all these rules from the studio, the original crew can only appear in the opening, and have to have Klingons in it, and have some Data comic relief and so on. They were like, yeah, we spent a year on this movie. The finale for the show we wrote in 3 weeks. They talk about some stuff that they weren't able to do. They talk about just, certain sci-fi and Star Trek cliches. How come everyone's room on the ship has pictures of space when there's a window right there? The idea of having a counselor on the bridge. And certain things that they feared would date the show as sort of an 80s relic. Talking about working with Shatner, which was very humbling, I guess, and the rest of the cast. But no, it's great, very informative. And they also did a commentary for First Contact, but because Generations had so many more issues with it, the one for First Contact was like, yeah, the movie turned out pretty well. Generations is a little more, we kind of wish we could do this again, or have another go at it.
I've not listened to any Star Trek commentaries, but I can see why they would. I mean, first off, it's one of the most storied franchises ever. There's so much that's been done, so much legacy to talk about, so much incredible writing. I imagine a lot of them would probably be pretty great.
Some theirs are good, and then the ones with Nicholas Meyer, those are pretty good too.
Sounds fantastic. The first one I wanted to talk about is the first one that got me into audio commentaries. I feel like that's pretty apt for me. And this is not the first one I heard. I had heard a few, and I was like, I get the appeal. It's just not my thing. And then I heard this one, and it went into overdrive for me. This is kind of a full circle moment because it's somebody that I truly appreciate and admire in the field. It's Bill Ackerman and Amanda Reyes on Last House on the Left. That was released on Arrow. And this is one of those things where it's not a filmmaker that was involved in the film, but Bill specifically has worshipped Last House on the Left for so long of his life. And it was a title that was lived up to in multiple ways, because when he was a child, he wasn't allowed to see it. And he was told, no, you're not allowed to see this one specifically, and eventually got to see it. And then it became this big thing. And then Arrow hired him for this with Amanda. And it is so great. It's just one of those things where it's like somebody that knows almost as much as you could without being directly involved with the film about a film. And it's just a complete encyclopedia of what to know about it, what to feel about it, the critical analysis of it. And it's made so perfectly that it is it's one of those things that was genuinely inspiring for Commentaries. If you've not heard it, it's quite good. I think most people would appreciate it, especially considering what Wes Craven became and what that film was at the time and what he eventually got into after that. It's still wild to me that we get somebody who did Last House on the Left that did things, I mean, even like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, you don't really think crazy, like close to being banned film to doing like a fairly mainstream slasher and starting a franchise, and those together are just so interesting. Obviously it's a very I don't want to say troubled film, but it's one of those movies that it's sensitive for a lot of people. It's got scenes in that movie that are hard to watch, and the commentary does a really good job in navigating it. And I think it did perfectly to balance the education, the entertainment, and the actual critical analysis, which it needed. I mean, it's that type of movie that calls for it.
Cool. Yeah, I have not seen it or listened to it. But my next one, the total opposite of that, Mallrats with Kevin Smith and company, which I've been a Kevin Smith fan since high school. When a friend of mine came up to me in the hallway and said, "Hey, there's this movie out called Dogma. I think you'd like it." And I think Clerks had already been on my radar, but watched all of his movies. I'm still a fan. It's Kevin Smith, his producer at the time, Scott Mosier, Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, Jason Mewes, and Vincent Pereira, who was sort of their in-house historian, geek, expert. Actually, of all those people, like, he's the one where it was like, how does one get to be like him, like the guy behind the guy almost? But it's a riot, between making fun of Kevin Smith's weight at the time, or all things Affleck, or Jeremy London, his performance. They kind of mock now and then. And the original DVD had a video option as well, which I think it worked with I think it was seamless branching, so you didn't have to do anything, because Dogma had a video commentary, but there would be an icon on the screen and you had to catch it to press the button, and it was just implemented very awkwardly. But no, Mallrats is like one of the classic funny commentaries, and they're just giving each other crap for much of it. But Smith, he's still a great raconteur, and even though I wish Arrow had gotten it so I could work on it, I'm glad Dogma is finally back.
Same.
It's out of purgatory.
It is one of those that has been, I don't remember when that first Blu-ray came out. It was like 2011, and it went out of print. Yeah, I don't even think it was in print for like 3 years. It had to have been maybe like 2 years that it was available. And so we've been waiting a long time to have it out there again. It is great. Since you did a funny one, I'm going to go to mine that I chose for funny. And to me, the funniest audio commentary of all time is one of my favorites. Had to go for Tropic Thunder. We got Robert Downey Jr. doing an in-character commentary, and it is, I mean, his work in Tropic Thunder is so good, and then it mostly carries over. Like, there's very little downtime that isn't just uproariously funny on this commentary. He nails it. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just one of those things where it's, there's some commentaries that have been legendary for people being in character. I mean, we both showed Spinal Tap earlier. That's got one of the best ones of all time. It's got the whole band doing in-character commentary. It's great. It's a very good commentary. I just listened to that one again recently, actually. But Tropic Thunder, for funniness, I think it is the best funny commentary maybe ever made. It is so good. Check it out.
Oh, I do have two that I'm calling the funniest, and I haven't listened to that one in so long. I don't even think I did the whole thing, but it works because they mention it in the movie. I think where he has that line, "I don't break character till the DVD commentary," or something.
Yep.
And I was going to pull up, it would take me too long, a photo of me and Kevin Smith at the Orlando MegaCon in 2002.
Nice.
But I'll do a funny one then, and then I've got a serious one and then a funny one. The Kentucky Fried Movie.
Good one.
I don't know if it's still on there now. It was actually on Tubi streaming the commentary.
Oh, nice.
So you have John Landis, Robert K. Weiss, the producer, David and Jerry Zucker, and Jim Abrams, rest in peace. And I think the old Anchor Bay DVD even had a photo of the recording session where it's just the five of them, sitting on a couch. It's a riot from the beginning. And Landis has only done a couple commentaries himself. But it's funny, they kind of all give their origin stories. Landis had done Schlock. The Zuckers had Kentucky Fried Theater, first in Wisconsin and then in L.A. It's at some point, they're like, okay, movie's halfway done. Can we go home now? And Robert K. Weiss tells a story of there's the segment in the movie, A Fistful of Yen. And Weiss tells a story, the lawyer, we showed this to the lawyer who said it was unreleasable. And then we asked the financial guy, what do we do? And he said, get different lawyers. But yeah, that one makes me laugh to this day.
It's up there. It's a very, very good one. Not enough people talk about Kentucky Fried Movie in 2026. It's still great.
Some of the segments are better than others. It does take its time a little bit. In fact, they even make fun of it 20 minutes in. They're like, is there a point where the movie kicked in at all? And Robert Weiss is like, did we score away the profit participation yet? And so on.
Well, you mentioned them hanging out, sitting on a couch. So I'm going to do my hangout choice, which a lot of times these are really great because it feels like one of those commentaries where you're like welcomed into the fold in a way. It's just sort of you just chilling with a bunch of friends. And my go-to for this is any John Carpenter or Kurt Russell joint, which I was very close to choosing Big Trouble in Little China because it's a really good one as well. But I kind of had to go for the cliche answer and say, I think The Thing is the best one with them. It's literally just them chilling on a couch together. They both have some beers during the whole time. And it's just like, oh man, you remember this? And it's just hanging out, like talking about shit in a way that is just so, again, like welcoming. Like you could just see you and three other friends sitting on the couch and doing this exact same thing. It is absolutely worth it. The film itself is not getting super analyzed. It's not going to give you all kinds of deep insight, but it's John freaking Carpenter and Kurt Russell, and it's just a blast to be able to listen to. I really hope more people have listened to it now that it's been around for so long. I also, I know he's getting old, but I'd love to get some updated John Carpenter thoughts on some of these things. Sure, I know you just want to smoke weed and play video games, but come on, man. We all still worship you. The Thing, check it out if you haven't. It's a great commentary.
And I went from like 0 to 100 with Carpenter. We all love Big Trouble in Little China, but a lot of his films I watched only for the first or maybe second time during COVID lockdown, which is why for Arrow, when I got In the Mouth of Madness, that one's kind of become my favorite. So that was a treat, to be able to work on that one. And we'll be talking about, very cool. We'll be talking about Kurt Russell again in a few minutes, but I want to mention Terry Gilliam's Brazil commentary.
Oh, nice.
Now, and I remember when I was younger reading about this legendary Laserdisc box set that Criterion released, and then to get into this stuff later. And by the way, I should point out in my family, we rarely, if ever, bought movies. My parents didn't see the point. It'll just be on TV. Ironic considering what I do now. But, I had the 3-disc, the DVD set and then the Blu-ray, now the 4K. But no, Gilliam's commentary, beginning to end, talks about everything. And Brazil, it's one of those movies where if I'm in a bit of a creative rut, I'll just watch that movie or the behind the scenes or whatever, and that will inspire me. That, and I think Blade Runner is probably the other one, where even though I'm not making movies, just seeing it and taking in the craft and artistry, it's it helps.
Shamefully, I'm still very behind on watching a lot of Gilliam's things, let alone I've never heard any of his commentaries. I definitely need to. That sounds fantastic. And Brazil, just beautiful, obviously, to look at. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
All right. My next one, I'm going to talk about one that is going to sound maybe slightly masturbatory. It's not my commentary, but I hired the two guys to do this, and it has become one of my favorites. And I got to talk about a Deaf Crocodile release because Inflatable Sex Doll of the Wastelands that came out last year. I really loved this commentary. It's Mike Leader and Arna Venema, and the main reason I loved it is because when I saw what the film was going to be, and that Craig and Dennis were looking for a commentary, I felt like they would be perfect for it, which is odd because they really only ever talked about action films and like martial arts films and a lot of Hong Kong films. And so they'd not had a chance with a lot of things like this. And it is such a dense commentary that it's one of those that's kind of hard to even ingest everything that's a part of it. Like, while editing a portion of the transcript and all that, I had to pause just to catch up with what was being said. Like, if I was genuinely going through it, the notes that you can get from this commentary, it is crazy. It's kind of an example of just finding the right person for a commentary, which is why I wanted to choose this one, because you wouldn't think to hire these guys for it. But I knew that Arne Venema specifically wanted to branch out from the action things. And this one was perfect for him. And Inflatable Sex Doll of the Wastelands is so odd because the title is in the original title in English is Dutch Wife of the Desert. And Arne, I believe, is Dutch himself, but the pink film aspect of this film is so overblown that people have stayed away from this movie. And I knew that he was going to crush this commentary. And it's just so educational through and through. And Arna and Mike and like Frank Jang and a couple of these others that are doing these modern Asian releases specifically are really great at like spiderwebbing these connections across all of Asian film history. And this commentary specifically is just a massive cobweb of they did this and this and this together, and because of their connections here, they were able to do that. And it's mystifying how much they know about it. It's so properly researched. It is great. It is dense, though. It is very hard to even grasp everything. You might want to pause a couple times, especially if you're taking notes. Check it out. It's a killer commentary.
And finally, I did 4. For 5, speaking of Kurt Russell, for me, the funniest commentary, Used Cars.
Oh, it's a great one.
It's him, Bob Gale, Robert Zemeckis. The commentary literally starts with Kurt Russell just laughing.
Yeah.
And we go from there. It's a riot. They talk about the actors. They talk about, Spielberg and Milius and, Roads Not Taken. And, and it's weird to hear like people, like your heroes, not, like Zemeckis and like people like them cursing because, at least, for a while, like they were, Back to the Future, which are more or less, family movies. But, just to hear these guys like drop F-bombs and things like that. But it's a riot. Kurt Russell's laughter is infectious. There's some bits where, they can't stop laughing. Bob Gale did a home theater forum chat years ago, probably for the DVD release of Back to the Future. And I just mentioned whatever my question was. And I mentioned this commentary to him. And he said, that was fun. As John Milius might say, we achieved critical mass. But they talk about the crazy stunt with Garrett Graham where he's walking backwards and a car passes within a foot of him.
Yeah.
Zemeckis is like, I could feel my scrotum shriveling up when I see this shot. And of course he points out today so much stuff would be done, with the CGI. But there's a bit, when I lived in LA on the regular, when I was getting the design career going, I worked as an extra on TV. I'm actually SAG eligible. And, it's like, you need to populate a scene. If you don't, then it looks empty or cheap or whatever. And there's a trial scene at the end of Used Cars where I think Deborah Harmon's character is getting sued because, she promised a certain number of cars on the lot or something. And then Kurt Russell shows up, and on the commentary, Kurt Russell's like, I love how the courthouse is packed for this nothing case. And it's like, well, you have to. If you didn't, it would look incomplete. It's just one of those movie things. That commentary is an absolute riot. And it's and actually the one for I Want to Hold Your Hand that Gale and Zemeckis, that one's pretty funny too. But I'm always usually the commentary is the one feature where I'm disappointed when there isn't one.
Yeah.
But then again, some are better than others. Not everyone's suited for a commentary, but if it's a good one, it's, I go back to these things. And plus, as someone who works, I work remotely, but I'm sitting in a room. It's always nice, have background noise too.
Yeah,
I always need something playing in the background.
Used Cars is great, and so few people have even seen it nowadays. Please go watch Used Cars if you've not seen it. It's fantastic. This is such a funny one to end this episode on. So I've been working on a release for the last couple of years with Will on a lot. I don't even know when it's going to be announced. Hopefully later this year or early next year at some point. But as part of that, we got to work with kind of legendary producer, director, writer Fred Olen Ray. And while thinking about our topic this week, I went, one of my favorite things ever is the Fred Olen Ray commentary on Jacko. Have you ever heard about this, Scott?
No, I haven't.
So Jacko is a wild low-budget horror movie, and the director of this one is a guy named Steve Latshaw. And this commentary is like cringe comedy at the highest. So basically the commentary is the director and executive producer, Fred Olen Ray, starting off what sounds like sort of contentious. They're already not on the same page. There's disagreements on who has done what, on what was altered, on why things were poorly executed. And I don't even think we're halfway through the commentary. And there's like a full-blown fight. And one of them stands up and walks out. And it is awkward. It's like, first off, how did this get to the disc? But second, it is just one of those things where you're like, man, it's really great that this is archived in a way that we can hear the things that happen behind the scenes. So for these things, it is a fun film. It's not a great movie, but it's a very fun movie. It's an entertaining movie. The commentary, though, very entertaining. If you've never heard it, go give it a listen. I think there are clips of like the most contentious parts on YouTube. Jacko is wild. And if you've never seen it, it is such a B-movie classic type of moment that everybody should hear it at least once.
Well, isn't there... I haven't listened to it. The Soderbergh, Lem Dobbs commentary on the Limey. Isn't that kind of... And also, isn't there a Mickey Rooney commentary on a Twilight Zone where like he just doesn't say anything, or the moderator's asking questions, he's not giving them anything, something like that.
Would not surprise me. Go ahead.
No, just I remember when Kino, talking about Get Smart now, coming full circle, when Kino announced the nude bomb, everyone in the comments was like, "You got to get Alan Spencer," and then they actually delayed the release and brought in Alan Spencer. Yep. His commentary is excellent. He does not miss a beat. It's 90 minutes straight. It's like a Get Smart film school almost.
Yeah.
And highly recommended, even if you're not a fan of Get Smart or The Nude Bomb, which is not a great movie. But Spencer, you almost like the movie more because he talks about it.
Right. I not moderated. I helped facilitate a commentary fairly recently for a pretty long film. And what was crazy to me is the director, I don't know if he forgot things because he seemed so knowledgeable about certain things, but he would go long stretches, like 25 minutes, and all you hear on the track is just breathing. Anyways, I'm still kind of curious to see how that goes to disc. If it goes to disc, like optional scene commentary would make sense for that one. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Anyways, that is it. The big moral of the story tonight, go listen to audio commentaries. They are really great. They're really valuable. Many of the ones that we have not talked about are big ones. I like Bogdanovich commentaries are film school, literally.
I also would have mentioned the James Cameron and Company on Aliens as a great commentary, but that's one where, I almost wish I would love to hear the separate track with just Cameron himself solo talking about it.
I will say it was kind of poignant. I just did a podcast episode recently. That's why I had Spinal Tap close by. We did a podcast episode on the other commentary on Spinal Tap, not the in-character one, but talking about Rob Reiner and a couple of the producers and stuff. So many of these commentaries are important for reasons that I really kind of captured with, because we don't know when we're going to lose Rob Reiner. We don't know when we're going to lose Fred Olen Ray, even though it's a silly kind of cringe moment. So many of these things are capturing filmmakers' voices that you won't get a chance to hear this way. So personal, so sort of vulnerable. A lot of these commentaries are like, yeah, I did this wrong. I would have done this way if I had known at the time, or something like that. And listening to Rob Reiner talk about Spinal Tap just a couple months after his passing, it was tough. I mean, he is a legend in so many different ways. And I adore that commentary, adore Rob Reiner. Listen to commentaries. They're important. Scott, this has been amazing. Thanks for helping out tonight.
Yeah, happy to. Hope to get to do it again. Then I just have to think of another topic to cover. But no, it's been a blast. Hope folks have enjoyed this. It's midnight, so probably going to bed soon. But no, this was a blast, and I look forward to working with you again soon.
We can't wait to get it done either. I am dying to in fact, I got a couple things that we can probably meet on here soon. On that note, thank you all for hanging out this week. Next week, we got a fun show planned. Going to be a good one. Excited to be home so that I got good internet for this every time. Scott, you're a mensch, and we'll talk soon, everybody. See you. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.
Hello! This is Matt.
And Emily from Scarecrow Video in Seattle, Washington. Did you know that we have the largest video collection in the world? We have over 146,000 titles and growing. That's over 3 times more than Netflix, Amazon, Max, and Hulu combined.
Plus, Scarecrow now offers rent-by-mail service throughout the U.S., so check out scarecrowvideo.org for details. You can catch Emily and I, or Matt and I, if that was going to be you saying that, on our bi-weekly YouTube show, Viva Physical Media, for video recommendations and so much more.
See ya!
Bye!
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description